What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Celestial Grand Show, aka the NSL Hearthstone Masters. Unfortunately, we can hear the presenter here, which was what I was worried about, but we're gonna go ahead and mute that. But anyway, what's up, guys? Welcome to the show, and we're finally here. Finally, well, we're not there, but finally the point of the competition where they're in Shanghai. We started this last October, Lorinda, and it started out as the Celestial Invitational. We had, I believe, 16 players, or was it 8? I don't remember
I
at
think it
this
was
point.
16. Yeah, it was 16. We had some group stages.
But we had,
So
a lot of stuff going down, and all come down to this, and all of a sudden we're playing Wild with random classes, but that looks pretty nuts, at least as far as the studio that they are at with our lovely host, who I am not aware. I don't really know who this host is, but this is pretty awesome to finally be getting to the end of our tournament here, which we've been waiting so long to do. But yeah, I'm waiting with bated breath just to see the studio, just like all you guys are.
yeah, it's weird how this tournament has evolved into what it is now, but we got there. They're still playing for the same prize money. It's still the same players. It's still the same event. So let's see how it goes on in D2. For those who don't know the format, I think you should probably take them through it because it's a bit wild.
Well, we had the crazy format in the beginning, I believe she's talking to Morgan right now, which is a pro player, or maybe I'm getting my Chinese players mixed up. Anyway, so like you were mentioning, the initial Celestial Invitational format was pretty crazy in and of itself. We had changing formats all the time, and then with the first part of this tournament, the phase one of the Celestial Grand Show, they had the 5 players with the big round robin. Now we're down to 4 players, and how this works is the players are given random classes and they have to build their decks. It turns out they're allowed to build them an hour before their match begins, so they're given a little bit of leeway. We were led to believe initially that they had to build them right there on screen in front of the viewers, but that has changed a little bit, so they're going to be able to have a little bit of time to build their decks, but still have to do it a bit on the fly here. And by the way, if you are curious, our remaining players, after all was said and done, the top 4 here are Xixo, Eloise, Lovelychook, and Zhangbo. And since Xixo has the #1 seed, he's going to go off against Lovelychook first.
Is it just random classes, or is it random classes and they know their opponent's matchup? So, do they know that game one is warrior versus druid, and they build accordingly? That's what we were led to believe initially. Has that changed?
You're putting me on the spot. I don't
Okay,
know.
so that's what I was wondering if you had any information. So the information we had most recently, but things have changed a few times, is that you know what you're playing against with each of your random classes, which means that if you're playing against a warrior, for instance, you might want to put weapon removal in there and so on. So it is just building to beat your opponent's also random class.
Right.
Each match, each game, as we understood it originally.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and recheck to see if we can hear the Chinese. And we can. So unfortunately, we're going to be in silence again. We don't have the game sounds for you because we can't have us trying to speak over the Chinese casters, unfortunately. But yep. And just to go on the point that you're just making, I believe that the first part is a best of 5, and the second part is a best of 7. And for this best of 5, they build 5 decks, and whether it goes 3-0 or whether it goes 3-2, they they have to build all the decks before it starts, and the same thing happens with the best of 7.
Yep. So the best of 5s are today, and the best of 7s are tomorrow, right?
Right. This is the end of the tournament, guys. So today and tomorrow, we're going to be finishing everything. We have the semifinals today, and then tomorrow is going to be the determination of first, second, third, and fourth. Obviously, the finals and third or fourth place match. And there's $20,000 on the line for just this portion of the tournament. So every single player here will be walking home with at least $2,000. It goes 8-6-4-2. As we go ahead and take a look at the rules here, if I can make sense.
Yeah, they've been accruing money. Every single win has been worth $1,000, plus some bits and pieces, I think, on top of that along the way. These guys have done pretty well out of this tournament, and there's quite a bit more to come.
Trying to read 3 and 4. Something about they pick 5 of the... Oh, yeah, they pick... Okay. They're just saying they pick 5 out of the 9 classes, and they pick 7 out of the 9 classes. I was wondering why it says pick. I don't know. I can't read Chinese very well, but I know some characters. But, yeah. Anyway, that's all they're saying right there. And yeah, so like we mentioned to you guys, all the thousands on the top right hand corner, that just meant that in our first portions of this tournament, every single match that they won was $1,000, like you mentioned, Lorinda. So even the players have gone home have picked up quite a bit of money, and so have these players, obviously, because you have to win quite a lot of matches just to get to this point. And we can see our chest. It's pretty massive for our tournament champion. Lorinda, are you dead?
Hello?
Hello?
Hi. Can
Hi.
you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Awesome.
Okay, cool. Yeah, $8,000 plus what they have already won, of course. So just waiting to see. As always with the Chinese events, unfortunately, we're doing a random amount of Talkstone, which is always a little bit awkward. I believe the first match is going to be Xixo and Lovelychook. Two players who have had, you would imagine, very different fortunes across Hearthstone. But if you remove the Ferrari, their career earnings are only $3,000 apart.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah. Chook's 99 and Xixo's like 102.5 or something.
Lovelychook's 99 without the Ferrari? That's insane.
Yeah, as I understand it. Unless the Ferrari was like devalued and it was added on. But yeah, that's how I understand it.
All right, here is the first part of the tournament as Eloise, Xixo, RDU, Zhangbo, Life Coach, and Breath won our first group, and Breath with a sad -19 and 0 wins. And you see that Eloise, Xixo, and Zhangbo got out of there. On the right side, we had the rest of the players. I'm sorry I couldn't get to that quickly enough. And we had, unfortunately, our top 8 consisted of RDU, Colento, and Tice as well, but they had to drop out because of the European preliminaries. And this is our top 5 because of the fact that those 3 European players had to drop out. And Reynad, unfortunately, the odd one out in that situation as he dropped down. And we now have our final 4 here as Xixo is going to go off against Lovelychook. And on the right side of our bracket is going to be Eloise versus Zhangbo. And pretty simple bracket there. You move on, you win 2 matches, you're the champion. You lose and you go into the 3rd and 4th place as Xixo has his Red Bull hat on. I love how they let him take that picture with that. That's pretty cool.
Assuming that they're not anything to do with the tournament, which they're probably not, but the Chinese scene is very, very different to our own scene, of course.
They're very lighthearted.
Different people running everything and so on.
Yeah, they're very lighthearted. I like it. It's pretty nice. It's kind of like, reminds me of the Trinity series as far as just, anything goes. It's a serious tournament, but at the same time, we're allowed to have fun with these things.
Yeah, and it's a good job, really, with this format, because if we weren't going to have fun with this format, where would we be at the end of this day's Hearthstone? Who knows what we're going to get, honestly. I think they're allowed to react to the opponent's classes. Assuming they are, we are going to see some weird tech choices in some very well-known decks.
Yeah, without the tech choices, they might just, all the players might have their decks already memorized and just kind of go into it and say, all right. Yeah, and just build it, pretty easy peasy. As we take a look at some of the highlights from what we've seen so far. Interestingly enough, Lovelychook, ooh, interesting, purple hair, or at least for a moment there. Okay, I'm actually going to turn on the music for this one. 1 second, or the sound, I should say.
大的优势嘛。我比较希望作为总决赛的对手吧，因为我觉得张博的实力还是非常的强的，而且他的打法就是比较凶嘛，而自己打的也很细，基本上不会犯什么失误，所以我比较希望打艾丽。
All right, guys. Well, there you have it. I hope that all of you can understand Chinese. I know I can't, unfortunately, but I let that run because we let Xixo have his time in the sun with the interview, so we might as well let Lovelychook have it as well. Not really sure what he said. The only thing I could even recognize was 5 and 5 next to each other, so I'm assuming he gave himself a 50-50 chance of getting out of here as we took a look at Xixo's results and the Star Series Season 2, Flows Esports, all that kind of stuff. Taking a look at his win rates with all these classes, I'm not sure what portion of the tournament this is. I think this may be phase, or maybe this is the whole tournament. I'm not really sure. I guess that seems pretty low for the entire tournament, but maybe it's just phase 2 or phase 1 of the grand show. Hello? You did? I think your mic is muted once more. I'm looking at your mouth move and nothing's coming out. All right. Well, I'm literally watching Lorinda try to speak, but apparently he's become mute. So I don't know what to say. Well, I guess we can try to restart the call here. I will call you again, Lorinda. We've been having Skype problems, so we're using Google Hangouts of all things to do this. You're the only one here. This is very sad. Huh. Well. Apologies for this, guys, having issues with the software as we're going along. Alright, I'm going to try to call him with Skype instead then. Alright, well, we do have our classes as I'm waiting for Linda to get back online. You guys can't hear it, but there's a lot of background noise for me, which I turn off the sound for you, so you don't have to listen to that. But Mage versus Paladin, Warlock versus Warrior, Warrior versus Shaman, Shaman versus Hunter, and Rogue versus Warlock, as I try to get that down as quickly as possible. Warrior, Shaman, Shaman, Hunter, and Rogue, Warlock. So we have all the matchups in place, and they've built all these decks, so they're not going to change no matter what happens. Hello? Lorinda? Nope. Huh. Okay, this is bizarre. Wait, how am I literally calling myself? This is weird. So we already see that the Eater Secrets is in Lovelychook's deck. Sorry, I have to turn up the audio for you there. But so he's expecting some secrets to come out and has actually double Eater Secrets in his opening hand. But unfortunately for him, Xixo is not. We don't see any secrets in the hand of Xixo here. I'm in a video call. How am I in a video call? Doesn't make any sense. I wish all these issues happened earlier, not now, while we were talk zoning. Hello? Yes, I can hear you. What happened? My Google was actually working fine. And I tried to call you with Skype as well, and you didn't pick up. Anyway.
Okay. Into game one by the look of things.
Oh, also, by the way, I didn't have you... They couldn't hear you for a couple of seconds there, because I had the sound off, so they didn't have to listen to the Google sound calling you. But anyway.
Okay, cool.
I wish these problems happened before we started. Or, like, at least... Anyway.
I also can't see the game at the moment.
I gave you the clean feed, right?
I've got that, yeah. But I can't see what you can see.
Okay. I will fix it.
Okay, so as I was saying, I checked out all of Lovelychook's stats, and it is indeed not including the Ferrari. He's won $30,000 every year since 2015. Thanks to various gold series and stuff. There we go, everything's working now.
Alright, well, the big story of this is that Lovelychook put double Eater Secrets in his deck, and now it's in his hand, and we don't see any secrets in Xixo's hand, so...
Interesting. So maybe that is a sign that they do know what they're playing against, though, at the start of the game.
Yeah, it seems like that would be a pretty big giveaway. if you were ever to put double Eater of Secrets in a deck, it would be because you were facing off against Mage. But Xixo with a pretty terrifying start thus far. The interesting thing is it looks like he's playing Tempo Mage, but he has the Twilight Flame Caller, which kind of throws off that theory a little bit.
Okay, I'm going to have to wait for a moment longer. Sorry about this, but I'm seeing two totally different things on two different screens.
And what do you see?
So I shall be with you in a moment. He has a Mana Worm and a Stonehill Defender on the screen, on one screen. And then on the other screen, like the game's halfway complete.
Oh. You mean your clean feed?
Yeah.
Alright, well, we have Cyclopean Horror on... Well, the thing that I'm looking at and what the stream is looking at is just Cyclopean Horror with its own Hill Defender. And Xixo has just played... not sure. He's looking at Discover now. I believe he's looking at the Primordial Glyph that he just played after he played the Sorcerer's Apprentice. And choosing between Ice Lance, Flame Lance, and Spellbender. Doesn't seem like Ice Lance would be the call here. Spellbender certainly would make a bit of sense, but there's not a whole lot of targeting. Unless you're looking at something like Spike Ridge Steed. So it does go with the Flame Lance. And also the Unstable Portal. I guess the Halazil's off of that. And it's just going to go ahead and utilize the Arcane Blast above his Mana Worm, get through the Cyclopean Horror, and smack face with the good old Shredder here. Stand Against Darkness is the pickup here for Lovelychook. So the more we're seeing his deck, the more it looks like just a straight up dude deck, a dude buffer. Stand Against Darkness doesn't really, you don't really see that card very much otherwise. And so yeah, double Eater Secrets, but otherwise just a dude building deck at the moment. Under a bit of pressure, but if he can stabilize, perhaps he can mount a comeback here as he drops Lothar on the board.
Yep, the clean feed is just not working for me at all, I'm afraid, so I'm going to have to play off the slideshow, which will be good fun for everybody concerned, but at least I can see the cards.
All right, well, I shared the entire screen, right? So you should be able to see a little bit better. Okay.
Yeah, it's just moving like I'm only seeing one turn updates every few seconds. So.
All right, I'll try to radio broadcast for you. At least the best.
Okay, so yeah, the clean feed's like, I don't know, a minute behind, which is really interesting, as you're seeing the same clean feed that I am.
Mm. Well, Xixo really probably wanted to play the Arcane Intellect this turn, but, you know, Lothar blocking that out. He can just play Halazil and the Twilight Flame Caller just to get the 2/2 on the board, though it might just be more worth it to ping. But it looks like he just wants to get as much pressure as possible. Doesn't play the Halazil at all, actually, which I'm a bit... I suppose he's a bit worried about Equality Consecration, which, wow, is just picked up by Lovelychook right now. So, for instance, if he had played the Halazil, traded in his Shredder, and killed the Lothar that way, then he would have been in a lot of trouble. Obviously, it wouldn't be the biggest Equality Consecration in the world, but at the same time, he would, you know, that would be a lot of Xixo's board just being put into that Equality Consecration just to die.
Yeah, the problem here for Xixo, he's going to have to clear every single board from here on in, which is going to be really, really difficult if he's going to mount any sort of threat at his own. Obviously, you just can't choose to ignore this because the Paladin buffs all these dudes so easily, and that is why we've seen like, arcane missiles hanging around here.
Wow, so the Arcane Missiles does pick up a lot of the kills onto the board here. Six is a bit sad, one, that he played the Twilight Flame Caller before he even... before the dudes came out the following turn. And you see why you put the Twilight Flame Caller in the deck now. It seemed like a strange inclusion, right? Because normally you wouldn't put that in your deck if you're just, trying to play the most efficient Temple Mage possible. But considering he could definitely see a bunch of dudes on the field, especially with something like Muster for Battle being almost an auto-include, it's a really nice include here for Xixo. Unfortunately, had to use it at an inopportune moment as Lost in the Jungle and Sunkeeper Terram come up here to really bring back the board for Lovelychook.
Yeah, and Lovelychook is just going to be under no threat for any time. But then Xixo is going to be able to do quite a bit of damage coming through here. And obviously, he's going to be able to start forcing Lovelychook to play his cards inefficiently as Lovelychook's health total is getting to levels where he's going to have to pay attention to it.
Alright, so Xixo realizing that he's not going to be able to kill off the board with the Arcane Blast, make sure that he does the trade first, very very efficient, so that he gets the 2 pings to the face here. The funny thing is that Xixo had one opportunity to pick a secret thus far, and did not go with it, and now Lovelychook is saying, oh geez, he played the Flame Lance. He actually got Flame Lance off the Primordial Glyph and not a secret, so these Eater Secrets are still pretty horrible. Gonna have to use his True Silver just to take this Flame Waker off the board, and still facing 3 from that Shredder. And 1 damage off lethal I'm seeing here for Xixo.
Yeah, plenty of ways to pick up lethal here for Xixo, you would think, in this deck. Doesn't find one, so needs to just find a way to build up this board and threaten lethal again next turn.
Right, and the nice thing for Xixo here is that when you put all the dude buffers in the deck, it leaves little room for actual healing. Because the most you can really do as far as being a control deck is put those board sweepers. So, not likely to see any healing, and that is just going to be game as Lovelychook is down to 7 health, so even if he clears up the board, it's not going to be enough, and Xixo's going to take game number 1.
Yeah, this game of cat and mouse where you predict what your opponent's going to play and you predict what they're going to predict about you. Xixo well and truly won that game of cat and mouse there, where he managed to just work out what was going to happen and just didn't end up walking into any secrets. Eater of Secrets just sat in their hand the whole game.
And this is the way you checkmate Paladin, even if they do have healing, right? You put a bunch of stuff on the board, you put them at a low life total. Obviously, this is a great spot to be in against almost any deck, but the point is, Paladin is very good at sweeping boards, and they have a lot of healing, as the board does get cleared here, but they can't really do both at the same time all that well, and Xixo's just going to take this game number 1.
This is where Xixo has always been, in my opinion, the best of everybody. It's in predicting metas, predicting what people are going to do, winning that mind games. I think he is one of the best at that. Just all the stuff I'm guessing. He seems to always just be the best prepared player in the field of whatever he does.
So he does take game number 1, and taking a look at the matchups that I scribbled down while we're having the call issues, our next game is going to be Warlock here for Xixo and Warrior for Lovelychook.
Warlock versus Warrior. So the instinct would be Pirates and Reno. Of course, there are a million different things they can do with these 2 classes, though, especially as they know each other's class in advance, we believe.
I don't know why. That just
really strange coming out here.
That just sounds so funny. The instinct is Pirates and Reno. It's just like that just makes me laugh for some strange reason. It's just like, yeah, their first thought just goes right to the Pirates and right to the Reno. Just easy peasy, get them out there. But yeah, there are a lot of tech things you can put in there. So the mind games, like you mentioned, if you're expecting Pirates, then your opponent is like, wait a second, if I play Pirates, my opponent can just put all the weapon removal. And then, wait a second, maybe I shouldn't play Pirates in that case. And, there's just, like you said, it goes back and forth.
And they only had an hour to build their 5 decks for the entire lineup. So, you're signing sort of 10, 15 minutes. I assume that what you just do, if this situation, you quickly build the 5 decks you're hoping to play, and then you sit there and spend the rest of the hour sort of adding and removing tech choices to suit what you're playing against.
Yep. Let's take a look at our players once more. Win for Xixo there with the Mage. The nice thing, or kind of the downside about getting warrior in this particular environment is that you can't really play a very good warrior deck without weapons, right? So your opponent says, "Oh, okay, I can at least put in, like Harrison or the Gluttonous Ooze to get some value out of that, and really just get the advantage there because I know that I'm playing against this, and there's no downside because you have to play weapons. How can you possibly play warrior without weapons? And I don't have to worry about not playing against a weapon class."
So the only question then becomes which removal and how much of it. And there's the answer. Well, some of the answers going with the ooze. I wonder how much other stuff we'll see in here. I assume we'll see at least one Harrison.
He is playing Warlock, so Harrison may not be as necessary. He could go with the... I mean, there's more weapon removal these days. He could just... Wow, a double Ship's Cannon is insane. But double massive taunt inside of Xixo is insane as well.
Right.
I was about to say Bloodcell Corsair plus, the ooze and also the Gluttonous Ooze, but... oh, mama.
Yeah, I mean, Xixo has just built a deck that beats pirates here. That's all he's trying to do, is just endless taunts and endless weapon removal.
Right, but Xixo has picked up a pretty nice hand, but at the same time, this is absolutely terrifying here if you are Xixo and looking at Lovelychook's hand. Double Ship's Cannon. Ship's Cannon is such an insane card that used to obviously never see play because pirates weren't good enough, but when you put it in Pirate Warrior these days, it can really run you over.
Yeah, and Xixo hasn't picked up any of his healing either. And at the moment, don't worry about it. I was going to say there's no removal, and that double cannon was going to be a problem. Don't worry about that. He can now remove anything at will.
Right, so it does have that Dark Bomb to be able to take something out. He would have really liked to have that the turn prior instead of tapping. As much as you like to pick up Reno in order to help heal and you want to draw towards that, if you can take care of the early board with your removal and not have to even worry about Reno in the first place, you're in a nice spot. But second cannon comes down, and this is a spot where you feel, he even goes for the Dark Bomb. I was about to say, but by the way, sorry, I don't have the full screen up for you, but it's so tempting to go for the Deathlord there to be mana efficient, but... I mean, I just looked at a trolled-in video where there was a Deathlord up, and it immediately got killed off by the Ship's Cannon because Pirate comes out, Patches comes out, that's 8 damage randomly, and you have the damage from the Ship's Cannon there. So Xixo forced to use the Dark Bomb and go off curve. Lovelychook
looking there against this matchup. You really need the Warlock Hero Power Life Tap, having to settle for a good second best, which is the Steady Shot. It's not the bad one. Obviously, it's a lot more damage you can do. But if you're going to keep up with the hand lock, Reno lock, whatever's going on here, the anti-pirate lock, then it would have been nice for Lovelychook to pick up his own life tap. But no heal bot yet for Xixo, so he's going to have to stabilize quicker than he would like.
Corrupting Mist is an interesting card here for Xixo. And by the way, very interesting as well on the side of Lovelychook, immediately going for the 4 damage to the face. It's kind of like saying, kind of like playing with things like Arcane Missiles. Like, you know what, I might as well just cash in this damage right now, as the Dirty Rat hits the field but gets immediately damaged by the Ship's Cannon, and Xixo's in quite a bit of trouble, taking plenty of damage right now.
Yeah, he's just trusting that his deck is going to find that healing in time. Playing the Dirty Rat there, knowing that there weren't many things that could be pulled, and he had the Corrupting Mist, so the Dirty Rat healing him for effectively 4 there would have been 4 either way, whichever the cannon hit. And if there had been no pirates in hand, he'd have been in a good spot, because pirates do play slightly more weapons than people realize, I think.
I don't know the exact list for Wild, but if that had been something like a Frothing Berserker, that could have been absolutely devastating. Mm-hmm. But looks like Lovelychook is just going to go for a bit of, in-between play, getting the hero power out there. I was curious to see if you wanted to go for the Heroic Strike right now to prevent something like this from happening, where a taunt gets in the way and you can't really connect with that damage, but obviously wanting the hero power every single turn. And Xixo, if it weren't for this hero power, probably could have turned the corner here and probably just wins the game right now, but the fact that Finley has spawned this Hunter hero power means that Lovelychook is feeling like he's in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, if he picks up, if Xixo picks up the heal bot, though, I think it changes it all automatically. Just that 8 health gain will allow him to win this, I feel, if he gets it. So depends if there's anything else. We don't know if it's Reno yet. We haven't seen a duplicated card, but I do wonder if there is actually just double of all of these taunts in here.
Ooh, wow. So the Siphon Soul comes up, which is a bit of healing. It's kind of scary to use it on your own minion and increase your clock to kill your opponent, but at the same time, you could die to Mortal Strike and Hero Power. And Xixo, I wouldn't be surprised if he does go for it, but no, it takes a chance here. And this is very interesting. It's a very nice read from Xixo, right? A lot of players might think, like, he just Hero Power past last turn, he has nothing to do, but if you think about it, there are a few cards that Lovelychook would not play there, even if, you know, he had them in hand to be able to use along with the Hero Power, and those are the ones that we see in Lovelychook's hand. You're not going to use Mortal Strike, or excuse me, Heroic Strike. You're not going to play the Dread Corsair, you know, something like another Pirate to be able to get that Pirate synergy as well. So Xixo said, you know, that could have been Mortal Strike, but there's a decent chance that it's not, and I can think of
It would only
a
have
few
done 4
examples.
anyway, right?
Right.
So he hasn't done the turn because he didn't tap. If he had tapped, obviously, that'd be different. Now he gets to use his Siphon because he managed to stall out as well. And just buying himself that time he needs to maybe get to that heal bot, obviously. If he gets that, I think he'll win this game. And he's also getting up his own 2-turn lethal. And now he does have to watch out for the Heroic Strike if he puts Lovelychook below 13.
Right. For the time being, though, the fact that Siphon Soul healed for 3 rather than 2, rather than something like Drain Life, for instance, is pretty huge, because now he cannot die due to the fact that, you know, it's an odd number that he's at. And we'll see how he decides to go about this as we see Lovelychook committing to the board a little bit. I'm pretty surprised at this. I suppose he feels like his opponent will put him down low enough to be able to Mortal Strike anyway, but that might not be the case.
He has the upgrade in hand, though, so 15 means he can put himself down to 12 if needed.
Oh, right, that makes sense.
Obviously, Xixo has 2 outs here either way. Either he has a Reno and 1 heal bot, or he has 2 heal bots. And he may have 2 heal bots and a Reno and just say, you know what, they do the same function, so I don't mind if I can't Reno because of the heal bot. But I imagine he has 1 of each.
Yeah.
The way this deck seems to be lining up.
Interesting that, you know, he has to at least account for the fact that his opponent could play play Control Warrior, for instance, or Taunt Warrior, but you figure he could have just played completely anti-aggro and gone with just Jiraxis, which just kills Warrior anyway, which is a funny way to go about it. You know,
there is Jiraxis in here. We saw it in the Mulligan as well,
Right,
actually.
but I'm saying you could have gone Jiraxis plus all removal and all healing and not even worry about Reno in the first place. But
so his job here is to not die next turn and to also set up lethal himself. That's why he's taking so long, making sure he's just counting all of the damage, and this is the way to do that. This means that he has enough on the board, and it's looking like he's going to get through for lethal.
Yeah, there's no way to buff up the Korkon Elite. It is not a pirate. And so, yeah, they're just lethal on board. And Lovelychook just has to sit here and take it. He is just staring at lethal, and he cannot get around it.
Lovelychook, of course, not on the best run of his life. I bigged him up earlier, but he did recently go 0-7 in China versus EU. A result that the EU team had a lot of fun with at the halfway point, where they had a show match, and every player in the team played an 0-7 minion in their deck.
That is pretty hilarious. I have to admit, I did not catch that, but that is pretty
Yeah,
funny.
they're all playing like a Doomsayer, and they're even playing sort of a validated Doomsayer just to make sure that everybody realised they were memeing Lovelychook.
This is an interesting shot of the crowd as we see our host taking notes on what to say when she gets up there. You typically don't see that on the feed, but yeah, Lovelychook just kind of like, I can't believe this is continuing. I keep losing to Europeans. What is happening? Not like this.
EU best server. That's all I can say.
All right, well, the next matchup is going to be Warrior from Xixo this time versus the Shaman of Lovelychook, and kind of the roles reversed here in this situation, because again, Lovelychook can simply just throw a lot of weapon removal, and there's nothing you can do about it as the Warrior. You just either you play just a straight up worse deck by not having any weapons, or you just bite the bullet, put the weapons in, knowing your opponent almost certainly has weapon removal.
Yeah, I don't know if he's had the short end of the straw here, Lovelychook. Short end of the straw, mixing metaphors at this time of day, or if he has just been outthought in those first 2 games. I think in the first game, I think he was straight up outthought by Xixo, just not playing any secrets.
He's drawn the short.
Second game felt a bit harder. Yeah, exactly. Short end of the stick.
He's drawn the short end of the stick straw. Anyway, something like that. Stick drop might be useful. Anyway, I'm trying to think of an invention that involves sticks and straws. But anyway, haha's aside, it's 2-0 for Xixo, and he's getting closer and closer to being in that championship match where you're guaranteed $6,000.
Yeah, that's a nice day's work. Another 6,000 onto the list.
It's a very even tournament, by the way. I mean, obviously, if you come out as champion, you've won a lot of money, but every step along the way, people have had chances to win $1,000 here and there. And the prize, the way the prize pool works is first place is 8,000, second is 6, and then 4 and 2. It's not like, double first versus second or something like that. So even though Xixo probably going to come out of this tournament with, just guesstimating upwards of $15,000, if he does win this, it's still the case that, he's not making a ton more than the other players who are here.
As a pro player, do you prefer that? Like, it's something that I always advocate, is that flatter prize structures mean that more pros can stay in the game. Is that a thing you prefer, or would you rather go for the big prize?
I would rather go for flatter for something like Hearthstone, because it's obviously a bit more variable as far as, who can make it far. And, if someone who makes multiple top 8s, for instance, can really just show it with its prize pool, like, hey, look how much money I've made. I am the number one, prize pool in the world, for instance, and that really just shows how good of a player you are, because it's like I've consistently made the top ends of tournaments.
Right.
Instead of just being like, oh, one time I, got first place in the biggest tournament and got $250,000 or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I see it. And I think it's also good for the game for as many pro players as possible to actually be able to earn a wage rather than, say, $7,000 a year, which means they have to supplement it, means they can't dedicate their time to the game. If you could just make the screen bigger again, that would be awesome, by the way.
And by the way, just looking at Lovelychook's hand here, he put the Lovelychook in his deck. A bit of a misread again, as he has the anti-pirate synergy, but realizes that it is going to be obviously the quest warrior. So go ahead and play this out right now. And this is going to be a pretty interesting matchup. I would imagine that the shaman is a decent favorite, though you never know with taunt warrior. Sometimes they can steal a matchup just out of nowhere with a couple radical talks to the face. But that said, lots of healing, as you can see in the Halazil and the healing wave of Lovelychook, and also very sticky minions that the Rag Hero power just does not like.
Yeah, as well as a hero power that the Rag power doesn't like as well. But again, Xixo winning the mind games. Like, he just... I think that not going with pirates, I remember these were made up at the start. Anyway, he's not reacting to these one game at a time. He made up all of the lineup at the start. And he has predicted what Lovelychook's going to do quite well so far, I feel.
Yeah, that said, his start here isn't the greatest, especially considering Lovelychook is on his way to having a pretty nice curve going forward. Obviously you look at his hand, it's not like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but as far as control decks are concerned, it's pretty nice. Goes to the execute here, does Xixo, picks up a taunt, but I don't believe that counts toward his quest. Unfortunately,
should not, but it's a decent one to pick up to at least make sure there is some sort of pressure on the board, even though it's not the most exciting minion in the world.
Alright, so Lovelychook has another Deathlord in hand, which is kind of like a Dirty Rat in a way. You're pulling the taunts, out from under them. Though, that said, does come from the deck and not through the hand, which is a big deal. Because if you pull it from their hand, it makes it so much harder to complete the quest. Now it just makes it so that Xixo has a lesser chance of drawing it from his deck, but he still has the taunts in hand, though that said, still only one there.
Yes, completing the quest is going to be the easy part of this for Xixo. It's then how he wins the game afterwards. Obviously, it generates a lot of card advantage. That's exactly how this deck works. He gets behind on cards and then tries to claw that advantage back after completion. But against a deck that can bring back a load of really big minions all in one turn, Xixo is going to have his work cut out, and it's Lovelychook's job to try and force brawls out of Xixo's hand before N'Zoth comes to his own hand.
What do you think about this play to just go for the Despite here? He could have gone for something like Acolyte Hero Power. Perhaps he's afraid of that getting Hex, for instance. As strange as that might sound, it might be a good play for Lovelychook to cut off the card draw immediately and really strangle Xixo, because the big part about this is just the Hero Power, right? And Xixo feels like if there's some sort of weapon removal, it does buff his Bloodhoof Brave here, so we are just going to see the Sylvanus come out in the field because there's no weapon removal at the moment. Xixo picks up a second Dirty Rat, and I've been in this spot before, even in a big tournament where it was worth thousands of dollars, which just happened, like a month ago. But you have these Dirty Rats, and you wish you had Brawl, because otherwise it's kind of hard to use them.
Yeah, especially against a deck that you know is loaded up with big minions. The Sylvanas is a pretty massive giveaway as to what's going on here, so he's going to be well aware that he just can't drop it because of cards like Sneeze Old Shredder.
Exactly. Well, Lovelychook here has a couple options. Maelstrom Portal seems pretty nice. You get to protect your Savant, excuse me. And let's see what he picks up off of that. That's another card for N'Zoth. That's not the best one, but
It's actually a really bad card because you don't want the 1-mana 4/3 in your deck,
right,
as it is just a garbage card because you want to start picking up your value on turn 7 and 8 onwards.
I wouldn't say it's the worst ever because it's very cheap. You can kind of flood the board if your opponent brawls. Typically, this deck has a hard time flooding the board, so it's bad. I wouldn't say it's the worst, as we do see the Acolyte of Pain coming out here, just to pick up another card.
Yeah, and alongside the Sleep with the Fishes, you'll get a second card this turn. Might be able to just start to get something going on with his hand. Of course, if he can keep the hand sizes equal before he gets to the hero power, that is a massive win for Xixo.
Wow, it does pick up a Brawl as well. And the ordering there, the Lovelychook did put the Deathlord down after the Sylvanas, so Sylvanas unable to steal the Bloodhoof Brave, which works out pretty well for Xixo. And whereas Lovelychook's hand seemed to be pretty superior to Xixo's a moment ago, Xixo has clawed his way back into this.
Right, and that comes to the play you were talking about, really, where he chose to play the Deathspite instead of the Acolyte. The Acolyte seeming maybe the slightly more natural play, which meant he got 2 cards from the Acolyte and he got good use out of the Deathspite. And that extra value has managed to keep him up to date. Like I keep saying, if he can stay in this until he gets his hero power online, he'll be in a really good position.
One thing Xixo's very good at doing is... I kind of think of it when I look at Xixo play, he plays like a pro poker player who's used to playing against other pro poker players. Like, he can go 3 or 4 levels deep. And so, like I mentioned, with the Hex onto the Acolyte, or even something like Devolve on the Acolyte, he can read, higher level plays and notice when the opponent has the opportunity to make those types of plays. Whereas a lot of times people kind of make the initial assumption like, well, you wouldn't do this. But then if you think about it a bit more, it's like, maybe he actually would if you kind of take another step deeper.
Yeah, I think he was the first player to. I think a lot of players are catching up now. We're seeing it more and more at the very top levels. Players will play the wrong secret at the right time just to make sure their opponent knows what secret it is when it's actually not that at all. All that leveling is definitely starting to come into Hearthstone amongst the top pros now. And it's making the game a lot more interesting because of it, I feel.
All right, well, Xixo slowly but surely getting toward his quest. Obviously not going to play the Dirty Rat right now because there's not really an opportunity to brawl. Over on Lovelychook's side, seems like an okay chance for just needs to get plopped down right now. Doesn't really need to use Volcano, doesn't really need to use anything else, honestly, in his hand, so...
Yeah, if you're going to bring Sneeds in your deck, and it's a card we've seen struggled in the previous stages a little bit, like, if you get the chance to drop it onto the table, you should drop it onto the table when you get that chance. The board's not menacing, he's on 26 health, just get on with it and find out what's going on.
Yeah, you could make the slight case that perhaps he's worried about the 4 damage going forward, but he does have a lot of healing. I just don't see much of a reason not to. I suppose he's waiting for a really good Volcano, and he wants to make sure that he never... Or make sure that his Volcano gets value, because sometimes it doesn't get value in this matchup.
Yeah, so he thinks he can stabilize and then drop a Sneeds. I'm not sure that's the way this works out, though, but... I mean, you get more value out of your healing if you've allowed your health totals to be used as a resource and take more damage in the first place, for me. But, okay, there's Halazil. Now he's got some problems. Interesting that Xixo took that, by the way, as a read that there may be no cards in Lovelychook's hand, minion-wise. The fact Lovelychook just hero power passed.
Maybe Lovelychook wanted to get his Sneeds pulled, so that's why he held it in his hand. And he didn't want to get his Halazil pulled because he needs that healing for later.
Yeah.
And so he felt like, okay, if I just hero power pass, maybe my opponent has Dirty Rat, which is a good read. Xixo has been holding a couple of cards in hand for a while, so perhaps that's what Lovelychook was thinking. Wanted to get this Sneeds pulled, but unfortunately doesn't get rewarded for what seems like a pretty good play by him.
Yeah, that does seem like he actually sort of forced that Dirty Rat to be played there. But now he's got it all to do. How much does he want to put on this board? I don't think he minds forcing a brawl. He doesn't have N'Zoth in hand, but Xixo doesn't know that, and also the N'Zoth will come to hand at some point. This game's not ending anytime soon.
Lovelychook likely pretty worried about his Halazil getting killed and Lovelychook not getting any value out of the healing, but feels like it's a better chance, a better opportunity just to play down the Sludge Belcher. He plays the Storm, doesn't really kill a whole lot, and on the backswing he takes damage anyway, so does put the Belcher down right now. And Xixo, if he wants to, can use the Execute on this Halazil just to push extra damage. And let's be clear, Xixo is the beatdown in this particular matchup. He needs to kill Lovelychook because Lovelychook has endless value. And even though he doesn't have this quest up quite yet, he might want to start getting on that damage soon. But here comes Sneeds, and yeah, Xixo sees it. And, you know, it pays off here for Lovelychook, right? Before, I mean, he didn't play the Sneeds before, and now he set up a situation where Xixo plays a Dirty Rat and pulls out one of the most annoying 8-drops in the game here for the Taunt Warrior, because it was something like Rack, you could just brawl all the way.
Just a reminder to everybody that when Sneeds was in the meta, well, it was never quite massively played, but when it was around, it was a little bit better than it is today. The Death Rattle effect now, there's quite a few lower level legendaries been made since Sneeds, but it's still a fantastic card. But there are quite a few whiffs now as well.
Yeah, a lot of the times, you know, the legendaries that come out have a lot of utility, especially with their battle cry, and not so much as far as raw value, which is what seemed to be the case for the initial cards in the game, the classic set. But they're going to be a devolve here once they get rid of the 8-drop first. A couple of 1-drops and a 4-drop and another 4-drop, I believe. So pretty good devolve, is about as good as you're going to get. It looks like he's going to commit to the Storm as well, which will clear the board with the help of Halazil.
Yep, returning back to 30 health. Xixo still needs 2 more Taunt minions to complete the quest. And whilst a minute ago his hand was full of value, that value is just starting to dissipate a little bit now. It looks like Sleep with the Fishes is going to be key. And that's about it, really. He's going to have to just buy a little bit of time. And like you say, it's not where he wants to be. He's not the time buyer in this matchup.
Ghoul's a pretty good pickup here for Xixo, even though it's not a taunt, because he will be able to execute off this legendary for something he can't really deal with. But Lightbane, not really too much of a threat, so it looks like he's just going to go ahead and Hero Power pass. With Lovelychook, no way to apply pressure until that card, but obviously literally cannot play it because of the mana concerns, but also would not play it anyway because the board's too full.
Yeah, his board is full of things he doesn't want it to be full of, and I wonder.
Well, he's still pushing.
Xixo might let this.
He's still pushing 3 damage a turn, so you know Xixo eventually has to kill this at some point. But
I wonder if he'll let it live for a turn or two, though. Yeah, he chooses to just let this board chill.
He kind of has to, right? If he brawls this, and how is he going to brawl the N'Zoth? He knows that N'Zoth could be a possibility. It could honestly be any one of the 3 cards in the hand, or actually any of the cards in the hand for Lovelychook, if you think about it, because they're
right, but he chose not to weapon, he chose not to ghoul, so he's just going to leave this board where it is for now. This card will change things, though. Yeah, now he's got to do something.
Yeah, it's a lot of power out of the board. The nice thing for Xixo here is if he does brawl this, then N'Zoth can't immediately come down afterward.
Right.
So that's something to consider. But the
other option is just to use the Execute here. Yeah.
Well, he did pick up the Drake, so that helped things quite a bit. Otherwise, he'd have to use something like the Ravaging Ghoul. White Eyes will help even further. That's one of the best cards in the deck here for Lovelychook, as he's able to just do something, and not only do something, but buff up his N'Zoth even more.
Yep, and now Xixo is definitely up against. He needs to find a way. There's a way to complete the quest at least. So now he's got to start thinking where he feels he stands in this match.
This turn, he's gonna try to find a way to fit in the Stonehill Defender. I would imagine, and looks like that is going to be the case.
Yep, completing the quest and able to get it going on the same turn if he wants to, which he probably does.
I think he's just going to do it, yeah. Now, a lot of times you pick up the Public Defender just because you want as cheap a taunt as possible, but now that he's already finished the quest and committed to playing the Sulphurous this turn, just goes for the highest value one. And Ali Armor Smith is very nice when you give up your initial armor up hero power. Rag decides to immediately go for the face.
Yep.
But Xixo has
Rag
really managed
does
as
that.
well. If you look at the situation, he set himself up where he still has Brawl in hand in going into the N'Zoth turn. Yeah, the N'Zoth is very annoying because there is, Sylvanas in there to take your minions. There is the Belcher, which comes back. There's the Sneeds, which comes back. But all of that said, just the fact that he has the Brawl to deal with it in the first place, whereas we thought he might have to use it way before then, it's a really big deal for Xixo. And this game could still go either way.
Yeah, Xixo's got himself into a position where he's at least able to get lucky at the very least and possibly even win as of right. This turn is obviously going to be likely a brawl. It's going to be a bit of a mess for Xixo, but he's got to navigate that one healing wave, and he's got a decent chance of winning a healing wave joust as well. A lot of decks just can't win that joust, but the Warrior does play some fairly expensive cards.
All right, so kill onto the Belcher first before we go with the Brawl. And assuming Sylvanas dies, Lovelychook will get an extra minion on top of the legendary that comes out of Sneeds here. Sylvanas does live, so not going to be able to steal anything. But a couple of cards going back into Lovelychook's deck as you see right now. Wait, which was played first? I suppose Sylvanas was played first, as was the order earlier on. So Sylvanas... Oh, because it doesn't matter what I'm talking about. My head's going in circles, Lorinda. I don't know what's happening. But
it's fine, man. This tournament was always guaranteed to get people's heads going in circles. I think that's kind of the point of it. Rag does not behave this time, though, and just completely and utterly shuts down Xixo's attack.
Yeah,
there could have been 12 damage to face there in a different world, setting up a lethal for the turn after.
Yeah, complete worst case scenario there as it hits the wrong target and takes the best minion there for Xixo. Farsight coming out here for Lovelychook to get deeper in his deck. Gets the Ancestral Spirit, but nothing really to put it on. But if he's worried about his health total, he might have to expend it now. Looks like he likely goes for the Healing Wave, though he could opt to go for the most healing possible. There are mana considerations, though, especially if he does pick up a heavy card going forward.
Yeah, if there are many heavy cards left in his deck, I mean, there's likely a second Earth Elemental, but that's not that heavy.
Right.
We've seen a lot of his big stuff already, I feel. Maybe a Kel'Thuzad sneaking around in this deck somewhere.
Yeah, that could be the case. He does have double Storm Guardian. Obviously, it's pretty cheap. It's kind of the appeal of the card in the first place. Battle Rage comes out here for Xixo. He's running low on cards, but he's still happy to pick up some card draw here. Gets a Stonehill Defender just to get in the way to allow him to get more rag shots off. And this is the issue, right? If you are the Shaman, right? Is in theory, yeah, you have a bunch of annoying things to put on the board, but if you get in a situation like this where Xixo has plenty of time to fire off frag hero powers and you have very little to do about it, then all of a sudden you find yourself unable to win the game and giving your opponent multiple chances to kill you.
Right, and the Brawl's going to be able to deal with, again, some of the stuff lurking in the deck. And so Xixo should get at least one more chance to hit face. Any more chance to hit face from now on, we'll set up lethal.
Pretty big card here for Lovelychook because he's able to get that out, get it Ancestral Spirited, protect against that rag hero power. Not only that, like you mentioned at the very start of this game, the Totem hero power, very nice in the situation. Does not like to play the Volcano, wants to see that for a different situation. And Xixo getting pretty low. If he plays his Battle Rage, I mean low in cards I should say. So if he plays his Battle Rage pretty bad. Goes, hits the face, probably first or second best target depending on how Xixo feels at the moment.
Yeah, this Healing Wave, I'm just going through the cards in my head. I think unless there's a Kel'Thuzad, I think the Healing Wave can be played on any turn alongside a minion. I just don't think there's any expensive minions left.
Alright, so Ornery Diehorn comes out. Poison is reasonable. +3 attack is kind of similar to poison in this situation. Just go for the +3 attack because it's the same thing, but it's more threatening toward the opponent's face, which makes sense. And Storm Guardian pick up. Right, well, we found the situation. We found the situation where he can't play Healing Wave and can't play a 5-drop because he dropped down the Earth Elemental the turn before. That said, if he plays Storm Guardian, it's very hard for Xixo to... No, he could hit the Earth Elemental with the Ornery Direhorn and then Brawl And if he wins the brawl,
And
he
he wins
wins
the
the
game if he wins the brawl. Yeah.
Right. So
This is a situation that Warriors like to try and set up. The whole "if I win the brawl, I win the game" is definitely something they aim for in these matchups where their rag shots just can't deal with the onslaught of minions. Against Paladin, it's the same sort of thing. They have to save the brawl back and get into this position where they give themselves, which is like, it's more than a 50-50. You can win the brawl or you can hit the shot anyway.
yeah. And Lovelychook, we were kind of theory crafting it at the time as well. It's like, well, he doesn't have much more expensive stuff in his deck. It's just 5-drops. But the way this turned out, the fact that he had to play the Earth Elemental because why wouldn't you? It does lose the brawl.
Storm Guardian, a negative there, as it only has 5 mana and loses the Joust.
Wow. Acolyte of Pain coming here for Xixo, and he's kind of worried about drawing through his deck, and for good reason.
Right, he's below 6 cards. He's 6 cards or fewer with that pack size.
Exactly. So he wants to get something powerful, but at the same time, he doesn't want to start to, fatigue, since he only has 11 health left. Just gonna go for the hero power right now. Gets the kill, and yeah, likely just gonna take this trade while he can, since if his opponent does have removal, he's in a lot of trouble. Doesn't have anything like an execute in hand, only has that brawl. Let's see how he decides to go about it.
He's used the weapon already this turn, right?
No. Wait.
Okay.
He attacked with the Ravaging Goal. Okay, he's holding on to the weapon. Alright, well, Deval comes in the hand of Lovelychook here. Looks like he's just going to go for the Volcano first, just to clear everything off and play the Storm Guardian, I would imagine. And this is very nice for Lovelychook because Xixo has to play his own minions just to be able to have a brawl in the first place. And you have 1 card left. He has 1 card left as Xixo.
Alright, he needs to hit face. Well, he needs to hit the same thing twice in a row.
Alright, does go to the face.
Good, I think.
Lovelychook has a Devolve and gets the Ancestral Spirit as well.
Ancestral Spirit is absolutely huge. That's this brawl defense here. And the brawl of still a big menace. And of course, Lovelychook knows what's in Xixo's hand, give or take, because these guys have just spent an hour building decks, and they will have been thinking about what the other guy's going to play as well. He's only seen 1 brawl, and he would definitely be expecting to see 2 in the deck. Obviously, in standard, some people only play 1, but given that card's been there a while, Lovelychook will be well aware the second brawl is coming.
For Lovelychook, do you devolve here? Do you just connect that 10 damage to face, knowing that 2 turns from now you will win the game because of fatigue?
You have to make sure you can survive the brawl. After that, I don't mind either way.
Alright, well, Deathbite's not going to be too much of a help here. Lovelychook figures if he gets 1 attack in with the Storm Guardian, that's going to be it anyway because of the fatigue.
Right.
So Xixo has to nail the Rag Shot onto the Storm Guardian, and then he has to brawl and win the brawl in order for him to just survive. It's still possible, just not looking too great.
Yeah, there's no way of getting his Deathbite to activate either.
I'm actually pretty surprised at that concede. I'm very surprised, actually.
So if he hits the rag shot onto the Guardian, then wins the brawl.
Yeah, wins the brawl, and then from there he can win
and
the
then
game.
hits face 2 turns in a row, he could win the game, yeah. I agree.
That he
But
did,
we're missing something.
he did not need to concede there.
Interesting.
I mean, it was unlikely, to be sure, but...
Well, I mean, he had to win a series of, like, 1 in 3s and 1 in 2s. But he could definitely win that. It was definitely like a non-zero situation. Like, it was 1 or 2%, I think.
Maybe he put his opponent on something, but you can't really put your opponent on something and say, 100% I am going to lose because he 100% has, Healing Wave or something like that,
Interesting. Yeah, feels like that was an oversight there. 1 damage off lethal if that had gone face.
Yeah, I think he just overlooked something. He saw checkmate in his own mind. He thought, okay, well, I can't hit him with the Rag Shot. I can't kill the Sword Guardian twice. Maybe he thought for some reason that he got it.
Yeah, I mean, I know some of you might be thinking, hey, if I brawl first, then I can't kill the Storm Guardian that comes back.
Yeah.
If your brain channels that way, maybe.
Yeah, I think it probably seemed like a bit of tunnel vision where you think that you can't do something because you keep running the same scenario over and over again in your mind. I've been in that spot before. It's kind of like the old, the Disguised Toast when he's like staring at the kill command in his head. He's like, I just can't find the lethal. It's like, no, just point at that face. But we are going to go to the next match here. It's going to be Shaman versus Hunter. And finally, we don't have a situation where both classes are guaranteed running weapon removal.
Yeah, both these guys are going to have to thought very hard about this. Hunter can be pretty versatile, I think, in Wild. I mean, it can be pretty bad in Wild, I believe. There's not really anything too crushing. But also on the other side of that, you've got quite a lot of options. And Xixo looks like he's gone for straight up good old-fashioned aggro Shaman.
Seems like the case. Bringing back the memes. 4 mana 7/7 in the hand. Gonna go ahead and mulligan it away, however. Picks up a couple of Flame Tongue Tunnels, which can be very good or very bad depending on how the game sets up. And good old Glaive Zuka in the hand here for Lovelychook. One of the most missed cards, surprisingly enough, for the Hunter, because able to get that weapon out early in the game instead of waiting for turn 3.
Flame Tongue Totem's just completely and utterly disgusting in old school Shaman with creepers and with feral spirits. And then you get to throw a 7/7 into the mix these days as well. I'm pretty sure that Shaman is just going to be such a pain to deal with.
One of the few times you might pick... Okay, so you just go for the Rogue instead. I was looking at either the Warlock or the Priest. Obviously, Warlock doesn't feel too good because you're just kind of helping your opponent kill yourself. And Priest was an option as well, but it looks like he's going for the tempo of the Rogue hero power here as... Ugly Kitty Cat turns into a bit of an Argent Squire.
Yeah, the Priest would have been interesting there in terms of keeping stuff alive. Of course, the Rogue is the best hero power in the game as an absolute raw maths hero power in terms of tempo, but often doesn't work out that way just because of how the cards interact with the Rogue class.
All right, and the other factor being that there's weapons that you could have in the deck as well.
Right.
Glaive Zuka comes out here for Lovelychook. Going to push some damage to face while clearing off the board, and this is the spot that you don't want to be in as the Shaman with the Flame Tongue Totems in hand, not really helping you all that much. Though does pick up a 2-drop to help out his cause. Can go for Totem Golem into coin Flame Tongue Totem just to make sure that he is developing other stuff while he is getting his Flame Tongue Totem onto the board to get better trades.
Yeah, it just needs to factor in how does this whole board interact with Unleash the Hounds. If I play my ferals and sort of trade, suddenly Unleash the Hounds look pretty powerful.
Do you ever win against Unleash the Hounds? You're already at 23 against a Hunter.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think he just loses against Unleash the Hounds anyway. So I'm just going to go ahead and play this out. If you don't play this out, then you lose to not only Unleash the Hounds, but you lose to everything else that the Hunter just has, including this Houndmaster potentially.
Yeah, the next turn he can overload if wanted with the ferals, ready to get Eye on the board on turn 6, or you can just see what he draws and never play the ferals until maybe defending against bigger things like high mains later on, if they're even in this deck. Don't see why they wouldn't be, but sometimes they get missed out in terms of being really aggressive.
I was curious what Lovelychook was deciding to use there to kill with the cat here. I suppose he's forcing his opponent to attack in with the Totem Golem anyway, and if you kill the Totem Golem, then they can use the Spectral Spiders to kill your guy off, so I suppose this works a little bit better. And wow, Bloodcell Chorus are a little bit late to the party, but...
You're late, man.
It's still pretty good, though, because now he can ping off the shield with the patches, then he can use the Flame Tongue Totem to kill off the actual minion here, and then get the trade onto the Houndmaster. So even in the situation where the weapon's already been used, the fact that you get the patches out of your deck is really nice. And running out of steam here is Lovelychook.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the hero power is always steam, but on 23 Xixo, Lovelychook's going to need to engineer a way to get quite a significant amount more damage through before he starts pressing that button. And Xixo is going to have the eye on turn 6 or 7, depending if he overloads or not, and he's going to start delivering his own damage pretty soon, having very nearly won the battle for the board here.
This is one of the more difficult spots to be in as, a deck or a class even that relies on synergy between your cards. Like, do I just play the card out to make sure that my opponent has to deal with it now, or do I wait in order to get better value forward, but then fall too far behind in tempo where I don't even get the value in the first place? Looks like it goes for the maximum tempo this turn, clearing off the board and making sure that he can fight going forward.
Never mind, though. Lightning Bolt, pretty huge in this
Yeah.
position. Just gets rid of the one threat your opponent has and allows you to start just ripping into their face. Pretty soon now, 6 turns going to start really hurting the hunter, and he's going to have to go all in just to clear this board. His Lovelychook.
That's not bad though. It's probably one of the better cards he could pick up. Now it fits his curve perfectly. So this into Jaime next turn would be one way for Lovelychook to get back into the game. Few hounds here, put a hunter's mark on one of them, so 3 go into one goes in the other. That leaves him with a hound going off against a flame tongue totem, which I don't even know how that works. But looks like we're having an issue with the stream. One moment here, guys.
Yeah, that would of course mean that obviously Xixo is overloaded here, which means that Aya is not a card that can be used. And so I think every card in his deck that can come off the top though will be castable. Obviously he'll be looking for just for 7/7s basically.
Yeah, so even though this is one of the better cards that you can pick up here for Lovelychook, it's still not a great position for him. That said, Xixo will be pretty far overloaded. So that's one thing to consider. By the way, just to talk about the stream, we are going off the Chinese broadcast, obviously. They've given us a clean feed. Unfortunately, we can hear the Chinese casters on it, so we have to keep it silent for you guys. But, okay, Lovelychook is just going to go ahead and Hero Power. The only problem here is that Xixo doesn't have the Shaman Hero Power anymore, so it's not guaranteed for Lovelychook to get any value off of that. Still going to hold on to it, though, it seems like.
And I forgot about the Lightning Bolt, who was, of course, overloaded for 3 there. So thank you to the person who corrected that for me. Which was quite a big deal, because it means he couldn't get his Jade Lightning into play.
Well, Lovelychook is just going to play as patiently as possible with these Unleash the Hounds. Figures that he needs to get value out of them. One way to get value is if he picks up another Hyena or picks up something like Night Juggler. As we see the Earthshot comes out. Very interesting that Xixo is playing this card. I saw he was playing this earlier when we saw phase 1. It's actually a tech card that you see a lot of Chinese players put in their deck. So very interesting.
Yeah, and don't forget, he knew he was playing against Hunter here as well, and Hunter's very, very strong in the Death Rattle department. Kindly Grandmother doesn't do very well against Earthshock. I guess Highmane doesn't really like it, so I like that tech choice. Xixo obviously put a lot of time into working out which tech choice he'd use against which classes.
This is just funny for me to see here. The Feral Spirits have always been the bane of Hunter ever since the very beginning days of Hearthstone. It's one of the only ways that the Shaman could have dealt with the Face Hunter way back in the day and still providing work, as the Unleashed Sounds can't really get through it. Second Bloodsteel, of course, are not quite as good as the first one because no patches this time. Counting damage, 8, 9, 13. And on the side of his opponent, there's 3, 4, 5, and then with a kill command that'd be 10. So Xixo could push a lot of damage here. Kind of forces.
He may want to kill one of the hounds, which is really irritating for him, just to preserve this flame tongue, though.
Right.
So I think that's what he's going to end up having to do. And then the rest of it just sets up lethal for next turn, I think.
Yeah, killing the hound means that's very hard to kill off. Oh, okay. It's gonna go ahead and do it this way. Only loses 1 damage this way. And Knife Juggler comes up, but looks like this might be the end here. And that is going to be the end, as it cannot kill off Aya. So that means Xixo is going to the grand finals of our Celestial Invitational / Grand Show / NSL Masters. He's going to face the winner of Eloise and Zhangbo, and has guaranteed himself at least $6,000 prize pool in that first and second place fair off there.
It's been a long road, but he managed to find a way to play this and to play the EU prelims at the same time. He actually did okay in those as well. He went 4-2 before realizing his tiebreakers weren't enough to get through if he won his last round. And so not only has he managed to stay in this tournament, and the tournament's gone on for a while, but he's managed to reach the finals of it, and in convincing style as well. I think he won both of his groups.
Yeah, and not only that, but in this particular matchup, seemed like he just out-mind games Lovelychook the entire way there, knew exactly how to go. Obviously, a bit of misfortune there, as, you know, the... looks like we have Eloise as a translator. I actually really want to hear this. But, he was able to out-mind games that entire time, and even though the Warrior didn't pan out so well for either player, but the entire time going with the better choice here. I'm going to actually listen to this interview, guys.
战绩，我想问一下，Xixo 现在站在 NSL 舞台上有什么样的感想？因为这是一个非常历史非常悠久的一个电竞联赛。
So this tournament has taken place for a long time, and you are like one step away from winning the whole thing. How do you feel right now?
I mean, winning is always fun, so I feel good.
哦，我很喜欢赢，所以我感觉很不错啊。
非常高冷的小哥哥，那这边我想问一下若，因为今天我们的这个比赛是一个盲选对阵的模式，你觉得今天在对阵的卡组上有劣势吗？或者觉得今天这个输在哪里呢？
我觉得就是可能我就是猜错了对面的形态吧，就是比如说那个战士的话，我预测出海盗战，然后没想到他是防战，就是大概这种那个。
对，我们看到其实，在第3场比赛的时候呢，这个 Xixo 是一个任务战，但前期的话其实强出的不多。我想问一下，他为什么选择任务战这套卡组来迎战对方的这个对方的职业呢
？Why do you use Taunt Warrior to play against his Shaman?
I thought that most warriors, basically all warriors, are in favored against Shaman. So if I like play Pirates or Dragon Warrior, I probably die to devolve anyway, or like to just the removal Shaman has in Wild. So I thought that Taunt Warrior is just the best shot. I didn't feel favored, but it's like if that matchup is like close to 50-50, I'd rather take that than take like a 30% matchup.
我觉得在狂野里面，战士打萨满本身就各种形态的战士都很难打。比如说，如果我要是用打脸战或者是用龙战的话，那直接一个退化我就 GG 了。所以像任务战的话，打萨满大概是50-50的一个对局吧。所以，与其我去打一个劣势对局，我还不如去打一个军事对局，看能不能赢。
是的，而且第3场比赛其实，这个若基赢的就是对方一个女王是被吃掉完之后，你的女王是被没有吃掉，乱斗没有吃掉，然后拉到了对方的那个淤泥罐。你觉得这个是一个转机吗？然后是怎么样调整后面的卡，然后去赢得比赛胜利的呢？
因为我觉得我这套牌打任务战本身就是优势嘛，然后有很多能赢的办法，就是主要是我就是开始的时候以为它是海盗战，然后留牌就留了一些偏前期的牌吧，然后所以就不太好打。
好，非常感谢2位能够接受我们的采访。那接下来的比赛是艾绿马上也要上场了，来对阵到的是我们的好学生张博。那我还是想要请 Xixo 以及我们的若基来预测一下接下来这场比赛，你们觉得谁会赢呢？为什么？
So next game is me play against Zhangbo. Like, who do you think you will win and why?
I feel like I'm forced to say Eloise wins because she's translating for me, so I'll go with that.
我觉得艾绿会强迫我说她会赢。
好，那这边我们的若基呢，觉得呢？
我也觉得艾绿会赢吧。
就我之前看你彩排的时候，就说想要艾绿赢，能告诉我你想让艾绿赢的真实理由吗？
没有，就是因为我看的那个就是职业吧，可能它有一些优势。
好，那这样的话，我们也是非常感谢2位接受我们的采访，再次恭喜到 Xixo 是获得了今天第1场比赛胜利。那我们接下来这场比赛呢，将会是由艾绿来对阵到好学生张博。在比赛之前，我们还是先稍事休息，马上回来。
那么刚才也是看了2位选手的一个采访。
That was delightful. I don't know if you got to hear the interview, but that was the perfect amount of cringe, just exactly the right amount.
Yeah, I saw some of it and I turned it off just at the end there. Don't even know what to say. I hope people enjoyed that particular interview. And Eloise now has to go and get ready to actually play her semi-final against Zhangbo, who I think you and I were touting as maybe the saviour of China this time last year.
Yeah, unfortunately, hasn't worked out for him last year. I want to go back to one of the questions. They actually asked Xixo, who do you think is going to win between Eloise and Zhangbo? And Eloise had to translate that for him. and Xixo's like, I feel like I'm being forced to say that you're going to win. But that was pretty interesting. But taking a look, recapping the match that we just saw, Xixo, pretty dominant performance. The one unfavored situation he got into with the warrior versus shaman there, able to nearly take it in the end, and every single other matchup really kind of putting on a masterclass and being able to tech his decks out perfectly. From the very start, it was apparent who got the upper hand as far as mind games are concerned, with Lovelychook playing double Eater of Secrets against a deck that had 0 secrets in it.
Number 4 in the world versus number 52. I'm assuming that's their Gosu ranks, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, most likely the case. Not really sure unless they have some sort of Chinese ranking website,
which they
but-
could well do, right?
Mm.
But Chinese statistics have not always been up to date on some of these Chinese events, although their production is always top quality to cancel that out. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. As you can see on the screen there on the bottom right, if you guys can read Chinese, it's going to be Eloise versus Zhangbo coming up. He still has the good student next to his name. He's always good student Zhangbo. Even if
Right,
he's
he was just that originally before he had a team at all. We thought he was going to drop it. It was like a reference to the fact he didn't have a team, but he kept it anyway.
Well, it looks like I believe. I don't know what I believe. I don't know what we're doing. Are we going to a break? Or are we going to just continue?
Hey, just using my mind reading powers. Obviously, we are just going through the Chinese clean feed here, so we haven't got any information on exactly how it works. And yeah, just going to use the visual cues to talkstone it until such a time. They usually go to a break. It seems like it would be fair on Eloise to have a break, having just had to translate, but players do seem to be sitting down.
She did a pretty good job translating, by the way. It seemed like she was getting everything out there. It's kind of hard to do that. I've been in that spot before. But looks like we are going to have that 7-minute break here. And when we come back, we'll have Eloise versus Zhangbo. Don't go anywhere. Or if you do, just come back. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Celestial Grand Show, aka the NSL Masters. Unfortunately, I had to mute right away there, so we didn't have the Chinese sounds coming out of the stream. But we're getting ready for our next semifinal of the day, our last semifinal of the day, I should say, as it's going to be Eloise versus Zhangbo, the winner going off against Xixo in our finals, and the loser going off against Lovelychook in our third, fourth place match. Now, don't worry about them, guys. They're all coming home with a ton of money. 8,000 for first, 6,000 for second, and then 4,000 for third and 2,000 for fourth. So pretty nice prize what we have on our hands. $20,000 split between just 4 players.
Yep, they've earned that to get here, of course. Long grind since December via various stages of this event, so they've done well to get here, and they deserve that 20,000 prize share. Going forward, Eloise versus Zhangbo. Interesting to see how Eloise prepares for this one, given that there's a great chance she prepared with Xixo.
Yeah, I don't believe they're allowed to make the decks together, but obviously they could have, a big long spreadsheet of, that they could have made together. Like, okay, all the contingencies. These are the decks I want to play. If it goes against this class, I want to have these. I want to have this archetype. If it goes against this class, I want to have this archetype. I wouldn't be surprised if Xixo went that far in his preparation, saying, for instance, if I get Warrior and it goes against Shaman and X and Y and Z, then I'd play, Taunt Warrior. Otherwise, I'd play Pirate Warrior. It's very interesting to see how these players go about it. Now, we've been kind of theory crafting, and the one thing we can say for certain so far, Lorinda, is that Warrior is in a really bad place in this type of event because Warrior's weapons are so good that becomes their downfall, right? That you can't not play weapons, and your opponent can just simply tech in all the weapon removal.
Yeah, and it seems that Pirates is also overwhelmingly the best deck for Warrior, but that is so easy to sort of outwit while still being favored against the other decks. You can tech heavily for the Pirates and still be favored. That the Warrior has to play massive amounts of mind games just to even get close to 50-50, as Xixo described a minute ago.
I wonder how hard this game would be. By the way, I'm not sure if you can see it, but they're basically showing the card text, and then they're asking people in the audience, I would imagine, what they think the card is, as we just saw that one come up here. It seems like it wouldn't be too hard. I mean, in English, that would be at the end of your turn, give another minion +1 attack. I guess it would be hard to. I can't recall the name of the card at the moment. Maybe that's the hardest part.
It's easy enough for a caster, because I can't remember the name of the card either. Something. Oh, it'll come to me in a moment. But yeah, if you're a random 25 Twitch chat guy, or maybe a guy in the audience, maybe it's a lot harder as well. Or maybe if you're a caster who can't remember the name anyway.
Something Battlecry draw. What? Death Rattle draw one card? Death Rattle draw one card. So Loot Hoarder? I'm guessing this is Loot Hoarder.
Nice work. You spoiled it for all of Twitch chat. They'd have been there for days trying to work that one out.
I'm pretty sure that's what that said, even though I can't speak Chinese, though I can understand some characters because I know a bit of Japanese, so I'm guessing this is Loot Hoarder. You could also just guess with the amount of text in the card, and that's the 2-1. So
Master Swordsmith goes to Pickled Goat Man in chat. Don't usually shout out the chat, but as we're fairly small and we are definitely killing time whilst the Chinese production do the same, I don't mind shouting out a little bit there. Congratulations.
He is double fisting that microphone. He's like, put it in my face. I want to talk to it. But
what will they win?
I don't know. Maybe $8,000. Like, he's like, let me hold the box. Let me hold the box and tell you what it is. I don't even know what they're asking them, honestly. And turning on the sound wouldn't help either. But she's obviously asked multiple questions. All right, looks like we're gonna take a look at it, and it is Loot Hoarder. We've done it. We don't even need to know Chinese to know what the cards are. We could just read the minds of the producers.
He doesn't seem that excited. It must be said. He obviously hasn't just won a Ferrari. Maybe he got it wrong.
he's just like, anti-kilobuzz? I don't know. Not like this. Don't ask me these questions. Alright, let's see this next one. 3 points or something. It's a Warlock card?
Dark Bomb?
Oh, right. Sounds like Dark Bomb, yeah.
3 points of something, Dark Bomb. They should let me write the card text.
We did it. Oh my goodness. By the way, I don't want to turn this into like a fist fight in the chat, but I've been playing a tiny bit of Gwent lately, and it really makes you appreciate how simple the Hearthstone is. Sometimes I'll look at the card text in Gwent, and I'm like, what in the world is going on here? This is way too complicated for my American mind.
So that's a very bad business product then, if that's yeah. There are other card games that have renowned long card texts as well. One of the attractions of Hearthstone is the game is incredibly complicated, but it doesn't necessarily have to have the long card text to be so.
Yeah, they just have the surprise outcomes at the end when you don't know what happens until you try it out, or Disguised Toast tests it for you. But taking a look at it, it is Dark Bomb. We did it. We combined our powers. We figured out that it's Dark Bomb.
Okay. Well, I want to see somebody win something. What's he won? He's won the right to sit back down. That just seems like a bad prize.
Well, they've interviewed the same guy twice in a row. It seems like not many people are willing to talk into the box microphone.
Here comes card number 4.
Goodness. Why is it the same character
4
4
6
times in a row?
Overload 1 Jinyu Water Speaker.
Sounds like it.
That's
Oh
not
no,
4-6.
but there's a tribe. No, there's a tribe at the bottom. I think it's a pirate. Oh, it's the charge. Oh, it's Sky Captain Crag.
Yeah. Jinyu Water Speaker is like 3-6 or something anyway. So
The only 4/6 pirate out there. I was wondering why there was the same character 4 times in a row. I was like, what is going on here? Sky Captain Crag, I guess, in Chinese. Oh,
I'm not going there.
Oh,
Carry on. Nick.
it says charge in Chinese, I guess. I guess that's how they did it in Chinese. They just repeated the thing 4 times in a row.
Yeah.
I wonder how that translates in Chinese, a charge.
I don't even know.
I feel like that would be a pretty dead giveaway in English. If it said charge, it's like what other card has that in there? Did they fix that, by the way? If you type in charge in your collection, does that card come up? I think they fixed it, right?
I have no idea.
Before it didn't come up. Before it used to be, if you typed in charge, it wouldn't come up because the the text said charge.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, that makes sense.
Anyway, by the way, we are since we figured out what this game is, we were 3 for 3. So I think we're doing pretty well here.
Yeah, I'm 2 for 2. I'd have just jumped onto Jinyu and got it completely wrong.
Well, there are a couple hints, even if you don't know any Chinese at all. One is the fact that it was the same character 4 times in a row, and one was the other thing, the fact that it was a tribe at the bottom.
There's a 1 in brackets as well.
Right.
Which means that's why I went for Jinyu, because I thought it was overload, and I just got my stats because I'm stupid.
Yeah, cost 1 less for each pirate on the board, I believe.
So
it wouldn't be in hand, right? That doesn't make any sense. Don't know how this card works. Please help. Anyway. I don't know if we're still doing this. Oh, we're still doing it.
I don't want to still do it. How many cards?
It's a 4/4. It's a 4/4. It's a warlock card. It's just a vanilla. Okay, there's no Chinese text though. This is actually, huh?
What expansion is that from?
Ooh? Is that just like a glitch on the side where it's purple, or is that actually?
Or is there like a line above where they pulled it, or is there just? There must be vanilla 4/4. I'm so confused right now.
We see Nerubian in the chat. That probably seems correct. The
That seems good.
Oh, it's a Nax card? Okay. Thanks, chat. You're the best.
That's the hardest one yet. That's actually nasty.
See, the thing is, we've gotten special training for this because we haven't been able to read all the Chinese, so we have to use all of our senses, all the ways we can glean information. Whereas the Chinese people in the audience, all they've been doing is just reading the card text. They haven't really had to try. We've been walking around, we've been training for this the entire time we basically blindfolded with like no hearing, and we're just trying to make our way through the card, whereas Chinese people are just been able to, sit there and see what's going on. So I feel like we're uniquely trained to be able to figure out that this was Nerubian.
I wouldn't have got it because I'm stupid.
Does Nerubian cost
You
4 now?
are uniquely trained.
I think it used to cost 3. Did they change it to 4?
They changed a lot of them, so it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Right.
They changed a lot of tokens. About a year ago, they changed. So I have no idea if it changed in that update or not, but I do remember that they changed a load, basically to fit in with cards like Evolve and Devolve and make them a bit more sensible. Hearthstone at last, guys! Oh my goodness, we can stop talking complete gibberish now and actually talk some Hearthstone, which might still be complete gibberish, but at least it'll be on topic.
That was the loudest anyone has ever said Hearthstone. I'm surprised there aren't any what faces in chat.
I'm sorry. But Hearthstone makes me excitable, so...
It was technically Hearthstone. We were talking about Hearthstone cards. But I guess we're going to see actual gameplay this time.
Actual gameplay. Eloise and Zhangbo, semi-final best of 5. Random class versus random class. They had an hour to build their decks after they knew their matchups. D2, have you ever seen anything even close to this in Hearthstone in a tournament worth more than $1?
Yeah, that is it's a good caveat you put there on the end there. I can't say that I have for this amount of money, which really means that the pressure's on these players to make sure they put up, to perform under pressure, to put the decks together under pressure. I don't believe they've had an hour. I believe they put the decks together an hour before, and I'm not sure if there was a time limit for them to put the decks together.
So the original rules was 15 minutes per deck, and I thought maybe they changed that into a whole hour total.
Yeah, they did it so that they started putting the decks, or they finished putting the decks together an hour before it started, so that there weren't any weird production issues. Although it would have been fun to kind of see them, go ahead and put those decks together. These are some highlights from the Celestial Invitational, which was back in October and November of last year. It was pretty crazy. 5 weeks, 16 players from all around the world, 4 of them being Chinese. And wow, photo shoot with Eloise. I think we're gonna have some interviews. Do you guys want to hear Eloise speak Chinese, or you want us to talk stone over this, guys? Vote now.
I want to hear Xixo translate for her.
It's like, why is Eloise speaking German? All right, we have one vote for here, Eloise. I want to hear Eloise. Okay, so it's halfway over, but you hear this.
在的话，我可能会希望遇到 Xixo 吧，因为我跟他关系比较好，当然希望他赢。
之前输给概率的话，就是卡组克制也是原因之一吧。因为我当时的卡组是比较针对快攻或者中速卡组的，对控制的能力就几乎是没有。比赛前知道自己和对手职业之后，优先从各职业的强势卡组里面挑选卡组吧，然后猜测对手会用什么卡组，然后把几套就是觉得打对手比较有优势的卡组。改一些牌去针对对手，3个小时时间肯定是够的，但是我万一比如说我猜错了对手的卡组也是比较正常的吧，因为对方英雄池比较深，挨率应该是威胁最大的吧，因为他的卡组比较偏控制，然后我又是比较讨厌跟控制对决的，然后最强的选手我觉得应该是 Xixo， 但是就是他的卡组应该跟我的类型差不多，我觉得打的时候不会那么难受吧，比起来挨率。季后赛既然对手是挨率的话，我的卡组肯定也会就是比较考虑对控制卡组的能力吧，就不会像之前那么吃亏了。再遇到他的话，就是我的卡组肯定会比较针对一些后期卡组，会带上一些不太一样的牌吧，跟正常卡组。
好的，那我们也是看到了双方选手。
All right, guys, there you have it. Right when it changed over to the Eloise interview, went straight to the Zhangbo interview. I would call that a master debater. But,
production value.
All right, Eloise going with the glasses look this time. And her Tempestone jacket, obviously. And taking a look at her results. Hearthstone Arena Grand Opening Invitational Gold Series 2014 Grand Finals. 2014, it says the Grand Finals. She got top 8 there. But that's actually happened in 2015. The January of 2015. If you think of it like the American football season, where the Super Bowl comes afterward. Also, there's the consideration of Chinese New Year. The
Hearthstone World Championships, that will also be the 2017 one. Will be in 2018 this time around, I believe. So
yeah, that as well. By the way, that 2014 or 2015 Gold Series Grand Finals, however you want to think about it. That was actually won by Lovelychook. So
yeah, Lovelychook, as I said earlier, has had consistent wins individually for some time now. Although definitely going through a bit of a rough patch at the moment.
All right, taking a look at Zhangbo here on the right side. Good old good student Zhangbo. The left most 3 characters and his name mean good student, and the right 2 mean Zhangbo. By the way, did you know that Lovelychook's name, his real name, is Zhangbo Han?
I think you may have told me that once, but I had forgotten. Yeah, just to make things really confusing. 2 of the best players in China sharing a name in different ways.
And they're both in this tournament as well. So this guy's name is Zhangbo, and Lovelychook's name is Zhangbo Han. And with the same exact characters, by the way. No different characters there, so it's kind of funny to think about.
Wonder what they're going to end up making them play here, as we see. I think we're seeing maybe stage 1 results and stage 2 results split up, because this 9th class doesn't seem to be enough for the whole tournament, like you said, but it seems pretty big. So maybe that's the stage 1 results, which took place in December in a totally different meta.
Zhangbo with the very sad NSL Neo TV shirt because he is teamless at the moment. Since we had a big breakup of teams in China pretty recently, and I forgot the name of the team that most Chinese players have gone to, including Xixo and Jason Zhou. The name is eluding me at the moment. If you guys can help out in chat, that would be nice. But yeah, he is teamless right now. And just to recap the rules for you guys, this is best of 5. They get 5 random classes given to them, and they know the classes of their opponents as far as, which is lining up against which, so they can tech against those classes. But they basically set in their classes, they pick their decks, or they make their decks, and then they go. And whether or not they play all of those decks does not matter, because they put the decks together beforehand.
Yeah, and we saw Xixo completely outwitting Lovelychook. Even though he only won 3-1, he basically got the best of all 4 mind games. And this is an interesting lineup, because it's going to be Shaman versus Shaman at the start. So going for straight mirror, we might just see 2 aggro decks, honestly, here, just try and slug it out.
Yeah, it could very well be the case. By the way, thank you very much, chat. It is OM or one more that a very high number of top Chinese players went to, is the new team in China there. But yeah, that Shaman versus Shaman, the fact that we got a mirror matchup is pretty cool. It means that you can't really... There's no disadvantage, right? There's no like, oh, well, there's no archetype I can pick that can win this. And wow, we see the Zeus Shaman come out here for Zhangbo right off the bat, going off against Jade Shaman here for Eloise.
Zeus Shaman. I don't know if I've heard it called that before. I assume you mean, is that combo variant or?
Yeah, with Malagos.
Yeah, okay. And Eloise just going with Jade. Obviously, no immediate giveaway on what the rest of the deck's going to be. I can hear myself back, by the way, which is kind of weird.
That's
wondering why I'm pausing. It's difficult.
That might be on your end. Before you were echoing as well, but then that went away mysteriously. As mysteriously as it came, the echo went away. But,
okay.
Yeah, I do have my headphones on, so it's not like the speakers are doing that to you.
Right.
Well, Eloise just going to go ahead and play on curve here. And by that, I mean, by playing the Jade Claws now, she gets the hero power next turn and not really lose any mana. And
yeah, she's not going to be playing those lightning storms anytime soon, no matter what she's up against. So,
and just pick up a totem golem to help herself out. I'm just going to pop that down right now, it seems.
Yeah, I think already she'll have an idea it's some sort of control variant she's up against. Obviously, all the aggro decks play so many 1s and 2s that they would have something on the board by now. And now she's going to get a lot of clues after this next turn.
Yeah, Farsight is a pretty dead giveaway. Taking a look at Eloise's face, no reaction, just kind of like, okay, I know how this works. And picks up a Lightning Bolt, which is one of the lowest cost cards in the entire deck, if not the lowest. So that's not a great situation for Zhangbo. It's going to take a bit of damage here. And has a lot of combo pieces in hand. Emperor, a bunch of damage spells.
Just needs to find that Malagos.
Alright, Deval comes out here. Aww. Except one of them's much more animated than the other. This is the problem. These are very imbalanced little tiny fins here. Because one of them's blinking and the other one is not. And Eloise says, you know what? If you're not blinking, you're not in my team. Get out of here.
Can we just see how she fixes her curve over the coming turns? It looks like she's going to have to Jade Lightning. If she wants the Chieftain down, she won't be able to play the Totem Golem. So
Zhangbo just threw that tiny fin into a volcano. That monster.
good. That'll teach it.
I'll teach you to blink at me. Oh my goodness. Kind of an awkward situation here for Eloise because she wants to play out the Jade Chieftain next turn. So just go ahead and just Hero Power instead of playing out the Totem Golem right now. And on the side of Zhangbo, like I mentioned, he has a lot of combo pieces in hand. So if he plays out the Emperor, this is the issue, right? He really wants to discount Malagos as well. So I'm curious to see if he decides to wait for Malagos or if he just plays out his Emperor right now. Now, if he does so, the Lava Burst goes to 2, Lava Shot goes to 1, Crackle goes to 1. So you can't really play Malagos on the same turn. Even if you keep the coin, you can only play that plus plus both the Lightning Bolts and the Lava Burst. You cannot play the Crackle as well. So I think he's just gonna hold on to it. But he might. the more he holds on, the more stuff he's gonna have to just push out of hand to make room to pick up the Malagos in the first place.
And although it looks like he's under no immediate threat of dying, these Jades already have reached 3 for Eloise. And so very, very soon, Zhangbo's going to have to start to deal with stuff.
Oh, I totally forgot about Ancestor's Call. Thank you, chat. So he could just play the Emperor now and then wait for Ancestor's Call. But that would involve getting both Malagos and Ancestor's Call. Whereas if he gets Malagos, then he could potentially just do it the old-fashioned way without Ancestor's Call.
One of the best cards in all of Hearthstone. Probably the only card that everybody actually misses rather than is glad he's gone. I think most people are glad most of the Hall of Fame cards went. But this card, as a Drake going to Hall of Fame, means that people have had to actually build new things in their decks.
Unfortunately.
So it's a good decision to put it there, but it's kind of sad.
Well, Zhangbo, he could have used the Lightning Bolt last turn. One of the problems with using Lightning Bolt is it's one of the few cards that goes to 0. Speaking of the 1 cost in his hand. So it's very easy to get the combination there. Wow, picks up the Evolved Cobalt. How much damage is this? So wow, okay. He's going to play out the Emperor. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 damage spells in hand. So just the Evolved Cobalt damage itself is 12 damage right there. So 12 damage. And then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 15. We get 27 before the Crackle. The Crackle, so that's guaranteed lethal. He has guaranteed lethal, right? Unless I've done my math wrong.
He's dead to Bloodlust, and that's what he's worrying about now.
Right, and he has enough. Does he have enough mana? Is the question. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He has enough mana. Unless I've done my math incorrectly, I believe he has guaranteed lethal. He has between 30 and 34 damage, depending on how the Crackle hits.
Yep. Looks like he's going to survive to get it through as well. Eloise won't be expecting this.
Even if she was expecting it, it's not like there's anything she could do.
Her decision from where she is do I let this Emperor live another turn? Because by going everything to face could probably set up her own lethal. So she may end up devolving here.
While we're sitting here, we might as well double check the math, right? We'll do it the other way. We'll do it with the buffed cards. So 7 from the Lava Burst, 4 from the Lava Shock, so that's 11, plus the 5 from the Lightning Bolt, so 16. We'll count the other Lightning Bolt as 5 as well. So 21 plus the 4 is 25, and then the Crackle is at least 5, right? So yeah. So we've done the math. We've done it both ways. We counted the Evolved Cobalt damage first. We've tried, counting it the other way. One thing that Eloise could have picked up to prevent her from dying at least one turn was the Loatheb, but Zhangbo has had a lot of time to count this, and he knows that it's going to be lethal. Let's take a look at Eloise's face as she realizes she's going to die from 30.
Yeah, I think she's worked it out about now.
Yeah, this is not I hope I pick up damage off the top for future turns. It's just going to end right here as the Crackle gets plenty of damage, doesn't even need that last Lightning Bolt. And Zhangbo is going to take game number 1 on turn 9.
Yeah, who needs Malygos when you can just burn your opponents out anyway? That's pretty ridiculous, especially as he didn't really have to do much in terms of controlling the board, but he did the bits he needed to do to buy himself the time. And because Eloise was only 3 or 4 off lethal herself towards the end there without that Hex, and takes a 1-0 lead, and he's going to go to game 2 with Rogue against Hunter. Not necessarily the best matchup for the Rogue.
I have 3 words to describe that game. Fun and interactive. Sorry, I had to go there. I just had to go there. There was really nothing that Eloise could do at all. She was just like, well, I'm developing my board. My board's getting slightly removed. Still developing my board. I'm dead.
Yeah, not a lot she could have done about any of that at all. If she had healing, it wouldn't have mattered either, so just burned straight to the face.
Should have rolled
the
warrior.
She didn't play the... Well, she didn't play the... On turn 6... She could have gone face with Jade Lightning, and she chose not to keep it back for a removal spell, which makes a lot of sense, but that's not the way she could have got quite a bit more damage through. And she also kept the Totem Golem in her hand so she didn't overload. I think that was on turn 5, which meant her turn 6 was awkward and meant she didn't get the Chieftain down on 7. So there were ways she could have done more damage, but I don't know if they've been enough.
Yeah, if she had just gone completely all aggressive, all face, and had no regard for any sort of removal or overcommitting to the board, then perhaps. But we do know that sometimes you can't really play exactly a specific way. Hindsight's certainly 2020. But going to be going into Hunter versus Rogue, and like you mentioned, unless Zhangbo finds a way to put together a very defensive Rogue, the Hunter just can go out all aggressive and kill pretty quickly here.
Yeah, the meme was that the Hunter would lose because of sap. Like the old school meme here, but we're going to have more Jades. Just going with the Jade Rogue, which is actually quite an interesting deck to play. I have no idea how it interacts with Hunter. Let's see if we can work that out before they do.
Looks like he just went for as many early game minions as possible without completely losing to, value that the opponent could play out. Eloise has a few options here. Can go for getting the South Sea Deckhand so they get the patches out. The other option is just to get the Mad Scientist out as quickly as possible so it can contest the board and obviously be annoying to the opponent. Catrick is something that she might want to get out before her opponent plays something like Prep, which could really give her some tempo in that regard. But
yeah, this is going to be pretty aggressive stuff. If she finds that Cloaked Huntress, she's going to be able to just go completely nuts here.
The nice thing about this Glaive Zuka is that... by the way, I'm not even sure if she is playing the Cloak Huntress. Obviously, it could be something, but she could go maybe a bit of a different direction with the Space Hunter. But anyway, all that aside, the Glaive Zuka is very nice on the Mad Scientist right now because it forces your opponent to deal with it. When it's doing 2 damage, it's like maybe I can ignore it, but now you have to kill it, and then subsequently you obviously have to deal with the secret that comes afterward.
Yeah, one thing with this Jade Rogue deck in general is it's a little tiny bit trundly. It's a little bit slow. It takes a bit of time to actually remove your minions to turn them into the Jades you want. And while you're being smashed in the face, that's not entirely helpful. A bit better against the control variants than it is against something like a Hunter that's just trying to kill you off.
Well, Eloise doing some math here, deciding whether or not she wants to attack face with this Glaive Zuka. Not really sure how many weapons she has left in the deck. Obviously, she's playing a lot of Secrets, so decent chance that she does pick up the Eaglehorn Bow off the top, but not going to be using that for a while anyway, as Direwolf Alpha comes out here. And now she can get a lot of damage to face this turn. She plays the Direwolf Alpha, plays the South Sea Deckhand. She can smack face for a lot, but says, you know what, I can just roll Huffer instead. That also works.
Huffer is also a way of doing a lot of damage in one go. Eloise killing off a minion there, so that one of her minions is guaranteed to survive the trades. And Zhangbo looks to be in a lot of trouble for the time being, at least.
Yeah, it feels bad when you're trying to race a Hunter with 1/1s. I'm looking at you, Jade Swarmers. The Jade Swarmers are not doing too well right now. Yeah, they can
Jade Swarmers fine in a slower match, but yeah.
So, Zhangbo... Wow, she has no secrets from her deck.
Yeah, it looks like she's drawn the 2 secrets in her deck, which of course throws a spanner in the works of the old Huntress comment. And yeah, she's drawn really, really badly, it seems, even though she's been doing a lot of damage.
It's
actually in a tough spot.
It seems pretty bad, but she does have explosive trap for this exact situation, which is going to completely clear the board. I'm surprised that Zhangbo actually just played into it. He could have just played a little bit slower and force Eloise to play out her own minions that he could trade into, but I suppose he feels like this is enough and he needs to get the damage in. But he didn't get damage in this turn, so unless he's really worried about Unleash the Hounds, I'm not really sure that was necessary. A second Mad Scientist comes in the hand here for Eloise.
Eloise's deck not doing what it's meant to do. You're meant to draw the Scientists first, Eloise. You should know this.
She can still put a lot of damage, though. She plays the deckhand, plays the patches. The deckhand is 3 damage with the Direwolf Alpha, and the patches is 2. So it's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. She can push 9 damage to the face right now, and basically just hero power her way to victory from then on.
Yeah, and that began last turn when she started making sure she weaved in those hero powers, aware that maybe she was running a little bit low on resources. The only thing she needs to consider here is whether to cat trick. I think it's done nothing all game. And of course, Zhangbo will know there's almost certainly a secret in her hand. He's seen the Mad Scientist go off and not fetch a secret. So he may even think, he will almost certainly know that is a secret in her hand.
So Eloise giving up 7 damage? I feel like getting your opponent down to 7 when he has 1 card in hand is pretty good. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. That said, there is an argument that making the game go long means she has a bit of inevitability with her hero power. I don't think she's going to lose this match anyway, but I do like this Mork Path a bit better.
Yeah, and that's going to speed things up massively there as well if she can pick up a beast. Obviously, the cat trick is a beast if it gets procced. And Eloise is just in no danger of dying anytime soon at all, so she's going to think about every way that this could go wrong and play around whatever she feels is that way.
I feel like you just play the Mad Scientist and smack the face, right? Although, one thing she might be considering is that this deck has to play healing, right? That might be what she's thinking right now. It's like, the only way you could possibly win against Hunter is if you play, decent amount of healing, because otherwise they can just play, face Hunter and kill you. So I think the one thing that you can say for Eloise here, the reason why she's playing this way, which seems a bit strange, is that she's playing the 3rd level mind game, so to speak, right? Because it's like, okay, there is no way he's not playing healing, and if I don't trade at all, I keep going face, I get massively punished by that. So that's something for her to consider. Keep in mind, guys, these players know what decks they're going to play against. So Eloise knew that it was Hunter versus Rogue, which means she knew that Zhangbo knew, obviously. And so that's why she's keeping this in consideration.
Now she can play the Scientist, I feel, because she sets up lethal next turn anyway. She's going to do it the other way, though. She's going to get this all out of the way while she can and develop the cats.
Yeah, she can pick up, some sort of damage from her deck. And Zhangbo just gives it up. No healing in the deck, it seems.
All right, 1 game all. And I don't know what he was expecting, but it's not what he got.
Yeah. It seemed like he just wanted to get a lot of 1-drops out there instead of going for the healing route, which can be a bit reactive. And against Hunter, sometimes there's just too much annoying stuff on the board to deal with, where being reactive won't help you. It seemed like he wanted to be proactive, get a lot of early minions, as you saw in his deck. He had the Firefly, he had the Zombie Chow, he had a lot of early game minions, a lot of early game sticky minions with lots of health as well, and felt like that was the way to deal with Hunter rather than wanting to react to her opponent's stuff.
I'm just loving this massive screen. But yeah, it looks like he just totally misread what was going to happen there as we get screenception on the screen there.
Screenception, the best kind of
1-1, as you may have guessed. From that massive, massive screen.
It is 1-1, don't you know? All right, next game is going to be Paladin versus Mage, by the way. And the first time we saw Paladin versus Mage, it was kind of a disaster for Lovelychook going up against Xixo. Well, it was a disaster for us because we had our technical difficulties. But in the opening hand of Lovelychook, he had double Eater of Secrets, and there were no secrets on the side of Xixo as he just kind of killed him.
Yeah, he even declined to take secrets from glyphs, and so just a complete mess for Lovelychook. He sat there with these Eaters of Secrets and got smashed around in the face. And Xixo even had arcane missiles in that deck, right? So he read exactly what was going on.
Yeah, it was straight up just tempo mains, right? And one really nice inclusion that I was kind of confused by at first, but is brilliant in retrospect, was the inclusion of Twilight Flamecaller. It's like, wait a second, why would you put that in a deck that, you know, basically is tempo mage? And then you're thinking, oh, you're playing as Paladin, they can't not play Muster for Battle. Even when they're playing a control deck, they play Muster for Battle. So certainly makes sense to go with that. And if they play things like Standing Against Darkness, it's even better. We'll see if Zhangbo has gone for a similar strategy here, and conversely, what Eloise has gone to potentially combat that.
I've only just noticed the rainbow hair, by the way.
Oh, really? I saw
Yeah.
one of her tweets like a week or two ago where she was getting that done. A lot of work. You have to individually soak, you know, a strand of hair. But saw the entire process.
Goodness. It's a lot of hard work, but the result's good. So fair play to Eloise. See, she has gone with the Murlocs with, oh my goodness, secrets
Murlocs
and
with
mini
secrets.
blocks. And this deck just looks to be a mishmash of all of the best cards that Paladin's ever had.
And on the side of Zhangbo, looks like your standard freeze mage with Evolved Kobold. By standard, I mean not anything like Gunther, but
Fine.
yeah,
But not standard at all. In fact, wild.
right. Okay, quiet.
So yes, anything Paladin with just good cards and secrets thrown in. And so it will depend. Will she have healing in here? Normal anything would have, of course, which will make the Freeze Mage's life really hard. But this version of Freeze Mage can OTK you in similar fashion to what we just saw a few moments ago with the Shaman, in fact.
This is a really bad situation here for Eloise, just putting it bluntly, because Zhangbo, you feel great in this position. You have board control on turn 3 and against aggressive deck. That feels amazing. One
and
thing,
card advantage.
yeah, exactly. Card advantage. You know, you have parts of the combo in your deck. You have even more card draw. You have card draw sitting on the field right now that you can just ping. And for Eloise, picking up a secret right now, not what you wanted. Are you completely familiar with this deck? Is it just Secret Paladin with anything?
I'm not completely familiar with it, but I'm almost certain that's what we're looking at here. It just has, I mean, Secret Paladin was basically like one of the best decks. If you put the anything combo in there, just take out a little bit of the secret stuff, I think you're absolutely fine. I think you can get away with it.
Right. One thing that's kind of painful for her is she's probably not running the Hydrologist, which means she's probably not running Eye for an Eye unless you just put it in her deck to combat something like Freeze Mage.
Remember that Xixo correctly predicted the Eater of Secrets against the Paladin, and we believe that Eloise and Xixo probably prepared together. So she may have Eater of Secrets in her own Paladin. It's an option that could happen.
Right. Well,
They're definitely aware of the fact that is a thing you can do against Mage.
well, you're seeing a bit of the, you know, mixture of contemporary Freeze Mage as well as, you know, the inclusion that you could put in with Wild as the Primordial Glyph and the Mad Scientist come in hand here for Zhangbo. A lot of times you go for a very utility-based deck with Freeze Mage if you're going to Wild, and include, you know, things like Mad Scientist and the Primordial Glyph, but not always in conjunction with the Evolved Kobold, which provides that OTK potential. It just seems like it's very hard to fit all those decks in the same, all those cards in the same deck, rather. But second Noble Sacrifice coming to the hand of Eloise, and you could almost hear her heart sink.
Yeah, this is just an absolute nightmare. Freeze Mage chilling on 26. And like you said a minute ago, still has the board, has cards to come, has Thaurissan in hand. Very hard to see how Eloise gets back into this one. Unless she manages somehow combo and Zhangbo hasn't got a secret up in that time.
The funny thing about
scientists on the field.
The funny thing about the situation right now is Zhangbo just has more minions, which is not a spot you want to be in against the Freeze Mage. Like he can just actually beat down Yatrin right now, which is not really, you don't want to give any free damage to the mage here, but
yeah, we're talking about that OTK, and doing it from 30 can happen. Doing it from 22, 23 is so much easier as well. Like you say, taking any damage at all is going to be just bad news. And you can see that Eloise is basically all in at this point because she has no other option.
And the sad part here for Eloise is Zhangbo can do kind of whatever he wants, right? He can utilize this Frostbolt for removal and still have plenty left over because of the situation he's in. He can go a different route and, you know, perhaps play the Emperor right now just to get the utility of these cards for, you know, a bit cheaper rather than going for the straight OTK. One thing that Zhangbo probably doesn't want to do is play out the Cold Oracle to give his opponent more options to kill him, but does have the Arcanine Intellect if he wants to go for that draw, and it looks like he's leading toward it, though he would go to 10 cards, which means that he would have to play something out of hand instead of being able to ping. So it looks like he is going for the Primordial Glyph instead. And
yeah, I think he was going to go for the Intellect so he could glyph and realise that he needs to Frostbolt this Murloc War Leader as soon as possible.
Well, even not just that, he needs to play, you know, a card out of his hand. He can't ping and do all that at the same time. Now that he's picked up Frostbolt, he can just play the 0 mana Frostbolt and ping. He can also just Kona Cold, which would be cheaper, obviously, be 2 mana. And so
yeah, and he's just going to do advise and clear everything up. I've got a bunch of cards, you've got 2. I'm not scared of you or anything, even if we get to turn 10. Eloise, what you got?
And because of how
serious challenger.
Because of how crazy Mad Scientist is, even the card on board was another card pulled straight from the deck and put on the field here. Eloise in a lot of trouble right now.
Yeah, Zhangbo probably will choose to just Blizzard this lot away. He's in no hurry.
The one slight issue maybe is that he doesn't have Ice Block up, so it doesn't have the guaranteed I'm not going to die at all situation. But
right.
Like you mentioned, just a Blizzard coming out here to take out all these minions, meaning that Avenge or something like that cannot go off. Secret Keeper comes a bit late here. The sequencing of this has been absolutely horrible. Eloise getting the Secret Keeper in the beginning, but no secrets to play with it. Then right when the Secret Keeper dies, gets double Noble Sacrifice. Now that the secrets have been played, gets a second Secret Keeper. And I'm sick of saying Secret Keeper because it's very sad.
Yeah, and Zhangbo is just setting everything up nicely now. Going to be able to Alex next turn if he wants to. Doesn't have actually that much burn in his hand, so he probably will hold on for a while, try to keep the board under control.
Can't even kill the Emperor.
Yeah, that's going to allow Zhangbo to use his Arcane Intellect to get some more reductions, and that should set up lethal in 3 turns from now.
He could... I mean, Twitch chat... You know, the random Twitch chat plays Hearthstone could win this game right now, just playing random cards at the end, because either he gets more cards into his hand which are discounted, or he just plays the Alexstrasza, or he just plays the Burn. None of it really matters at this point. He has the Evolved Kobold along with the Fireball and the Frostbolt, which is 5 damage plus 8 damage. That's 13, so 14's a bit off, but with such cheap Arcane Intellects, probably can just pick up lethal off the top very easily.
Not to mention he's got 13 on board.
Not to mention...
I know there's no sacrifice up, but even so.
Not to mention that's the second anything can happen in Eloise's hands, and this could not be more sad.
You've obviously never met Twitch chat, D2.
Wow. Well, when it rains, it pours. And when it pours, you get Frostbolt and Ice Lance in the face.
That's just a card that should be moved to the Hall of Fame. Oh, hang on, it has been. Yep, Eloise getting blasted off the board here by Freeze Mage. It was inevitable from about turn 3, as soon as she lost the board and had a handful of expensive stuff that didn't do anything. And Zhangbo is 1 game away from the final, but now he's got to play Warlock against Mage.
We've seen Paladin really struggle because as good of a deck as it is, it's somewhat reasonable to tech against if you know exactly what you're playing against, obviously. We've seen it twice in a row now. And there is a possibility that Zhangbo and Lovelychook, they prepared together as well, because you saw Zhangbo go with the Freeze Maze right now, and Lovelychook immediately thought that was going to be the case with Xixo. So obviously, you know, very many levels of mind games. Xixo saying, okay, well, it's too risky to play out Freeze Mage in this situation because, you know, my opponent would be predicting that and went with the Tempo Mage instead. But yeah, you see that working out for Zhangbo, and not the right sort of tech here for Eloise.
Yeah, and now Zhangbo 1 game from that final. The final's going to be best of 7, by the way, so you get 7 randomized Hearthstone matchups.
Nice.
And the third place is 7 as well, I think.
By the way, thinking about Eloise's strategy here with the Paladin, I think that she, if you look at it, logically, I think she went like five levels deep, just based on pure speculation, right? So it goes, okay, Paladin versus Mage. What is the best Mage against Paladin? It's going to be Freeze Mage. But if I play Eat Your Secrets, if I play Eat Your Secrets against that, I just win. Or if I play Kazan Mystic, I just win. So he knows that I can just do that. So that's the second level, right? It's already, or the third level, however you want to think about it. So it's like, I can't play that because he knows I'm going to play that. It's too obvious because it's only 2 levels deep, or 3 levels, however you want to think about it. And then from there, she says, okay, well, he has to go Tempo Mage, which means that I have to go a bit even faster deck. So that's kind of like the 4th or 5th level, however you want to think about it. But yeah, it kind of gets in that sticky situation. And then in the end, Zhangbo says, well, Freeze Mage is good against Paladin. I'm just going to play that. And then, oh no, oh no, I've lost.
Yeah, can't fault that logic at all. Sometimes you just have to get the right level. And again, saying earlier, that's almost exactly what Xixo just seems to get right so consistently, showing that it's probably more than just a guessing game when it comes to that leveling.
Right, well, we'll see the amount of mind games in this particular matchup and see if there are any secret killers on the side of Zhangbo's Warlock here.
Oops. That's going to be a bad matchup for him if he's gone with Zoo here.
There are ways to deal with it. The thing is, Zoo, there were specific metagames where Zoo was okay, right? Right now, Zoo is an absolutely horrible spot against everything, but even in the last meta, it was just really, really bad against Freeze Mage in general. But when they had Lothib, when they had the Crazed Alchemist, right, when they had Nerubian Egg, when they had Dr. Boom, those were the 4 cards in general that really helped them in the Freeze Mage matchup and almost turned into a 50-50. Now, if you add to that Secret Killers, then that really can turn the matchup into your favor. And Curse of Reform is certainly something that you attack against Freeze Mage.
So if he is going for the full-on Freeze Mage tech, I agree entirely that he does become favoured. I was thinking that Freeze Mage also has quite a lot of help from recent times, but like you say, the Curse of Reform is just going to be a really big nuisance here. Going for it straight away.
I'm not sure I like this. Okay, he's kind of facepalming right now. Wait. Wait a second.
Like, did he just forget why that was in his deck and decide to curve stone, and now he's just...
It seems like the case. Punted? That's what it seems like.
Obviously, for those who don't know how that works, it does the damage in your opponent's turn, which means it gets through the ice block. But for some reason, Zhangbo has just drifted into ladder mode and played everything by the numbers.
That was...
Unless he's double bluffing and face palming to give Eloise the impression that he didn't mean to do it, but something weird just happened there.
That was one of the most bizarre things I've seen, where it's not like you know, a lot of times there's certain orders to do things and then you just kind of brain fart, but it's really hard to brain fart when you put a card specifically in your deck to not play that turn.
I'm so confused.
I am a bit confused too.
Unless he's just assuming he'll draw the second one later on and doesn't need to, so he might as well get the damage in rather than tap. But then tapping is such a massive part of the Warlock arsenal in this matchup.
Well, it's even hard to really defend him, unfortunately, because we saw his reaction. You know, it seems like he thinks it's a mistake as well. So, well, Zhangbo does have the ability to kill off this Doomsayer, but it takes quite a bit of effort. So he's just going to let it go off and give himself a 4-4 and a 1-1 on the field.
4-4 with no text, as we learned a few moments ago. And yeah, all of the death rattles are, again, when you can actually tech against the Freeze Mage, which you can in this format, all the death rattles are really nice. Obviously, these cards do get played anyway, but you can actually set things up better.
Eloise immediately reaching for that Doomsayer. Not sure that's the best idea, but does decide to go for it anyway. It seems like a read on Zhangbo's hand, but there's a legitimate reason why he did not decide to kill off the Doomsayer last turn, and looks like Eloise getting a little bit punished here.
Yeah, I think it was a fair enough decision, though. He didn't want to kill the first Doomsayer, so why... Right. You might as well go for it now, especially if you've got all this removal in hand. Like Eloise's hand is full of blizzards and stuff, so why not?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing, right? Is that Zhangbo didn't need to kill it last turn. So if Eloise had a read that Zhangbo didn't have damage in hand, then she was sorely mistaken. But the Emperor comes down in a good spot here as our good old friends Knife Juggler plus Implosion goes for a good old 3. At least this time it didn't massively favor one player over the other, as it does take out the Emperor Thorzen here. But Eloise still has a lot of ways to stall out this board and set up things for herself.
She's going to be rewarded for not panicking with the Blizzards last turn, getting the Emperor down, getting the reductions in. And now she's probably going to Blizzard, although she still has chances to not bother if she wants to.
She might be considering whether or not she wants to play the Forgotten Torch first, just to clear off the board. She would take an extra 2 damage from the Knife Juggler in that case. But if she plays the Blizzard now and the Spiders come out, then she's leaving her opponent with a board. That could potentially be power overwhelming. I don't know if that's really that scary, though. So I think that Blizzard's perfectly fine. Seems like it's just going to be Intellect into Blizzard, though she could decide to ping something instead.
Yeah, she may also be considering playing the Mad Scientist over the Intellect, so that she doesn't draw into those secrets, instead choosing to rip them out of the deck with the Scientist and challenge the board a little.
By the way, in case you guys have forgotten the Knife Juggler interactions, when Death Hurdles die, the knives don't go off as long as Knife Juggler died, but things like Patron and Imp King Boss do. But interestingly enough, did you know that if you Blizzard, a Patron board or something like an Imp King Boss board, the Imps get frozen, but if you Chrono Cold, they do not get frozen.
I think I knew that. It's the wording on the cards are slightly different, right?
I don't know.
One of them says then.
I don't know why. I just saw it one time and I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I think Blizzard says then freeze them or something like that, which makes a slight difference.
Right.
There's a weird wording out there. 2, 4, 5, 6, 10 damage in hand on board and 10 damage in hand for Zhangbo. Eloise is dead if she doesn't take evasive action, which of course she's going to, just because of how she chooses to do so.
There is the slight possibility that she takes a chance and pushes Alexstrasza to the face. Doesn't seem like a prudent decision because of the fact that Zhangbo has had 2 cards sitting in his hand for the entire game. But you never know. So it seems like it's probably Blizzard plus Acolyte. The Intellect can honestly be played whenever she wants.
Yeah, it's about whether she wants to or how she's going to get this. She really wants to proc this Scientist right now. The only way she can do that is Blizzard Ice Lance, which not the only way, but the most efficient way, and that's not very good either. She could Blizzard.
I think it's not too hard to use
Torch the 0-4.
Yeah, I don't think she needs to proc the Mad Scientist right now. She's going to have an opportunity to do so later, unless your opponent doesn't have a board, and if your opponent doesn't have a board, then you don't really care that you can't proc it. So looks like a full clear here. Here's the Forgotten Torch up front. And on the side of Zhangbo, picks up the Crazy Alchemist a bit too late. Just going to go ahead and get a 4/4 out in the field here. Obviously, it makes it very weak to freeze effects, but Blizzards are gone. And Frost Novas are still in the deck, but no Doomsayers, so it just goes ahead and plays it right now. Want to get as much damage on the field as possible and perhaps get a surprise win. Now,
yeah, I think the Blizzards being gone there was a big part of that decision.
So Eloise gets guaranteed either a barrier or a block, I would imagine, with this Mad Scientist, unless she's taking something like Duplicate. And she has a lot of cards out to her name, and has quite a bit of damage too if she can pick up a Frostbolt from her deck. That would give her 13. So if she starts pinging right now, she picks up an Ice Lance. So Ice Lance would just give her lethal anytime she picks up a Frostbolt. Have we seen a Frostbolt this game?
I don't believe we have, but we could have. And just looking why she's chosen to Glyph first, that means she might not Intellect. If you're going to Glyph, you should Intellect first, so you have more information on what you're going to take from the Glyph, but maybe she was hoping to get a Kabbalist Tome or something where she didn't even want to Intellect.
It seems like she feels like she has enough card draw where she just wants to go for as much damage as possible. And, okay, she's going to use the Ice Lance right now. Feels like she has enough damage here. And so 7.
So, yeah, she has the 15 in hand. So
with the right number, with the right mana number as well. So that's just going to be it.
Assuming that is a block. I don't think we have confirmation that it's a block yet.
Well, hold on. 6, 10, 13, 14, 15. that's only 15 damage, right? So even if it's not barrier or block, Zhangbo still can't get through this. Yeah, it literally doesn't matter what that
two
secret
turns
is.
to do it though, right?
No, he's dead next turn.
Oh, he's actually down to 40. I'm looking at getting Alex down. She doesn't even need to get the Alex down. I was thinking, I hadn't realised how low his health total had got. Sure, yeah.
Yeah, it's just completely and utterly over.
I was thinking, yeah, she had to do the block, but I forget that Warlocks hurt themselves quite a lot. I'm just going to go to 2-2.
Yeah, she actually has 19 damage with the full 10 mana here.
Yeah, no reason to heal your opponent. Last game's going to be Rogue versus Warrior. Sounds like a tough one for the Rogue because the Warrior is just going to blast cannonballs at you.
Well, there is a way to tech. That's the nice part about this format is even when you feel like you're in a situation where typically it's an unfavored matchup, you can tech your way to victory, Lorinda.
Yeah, hard to see exactly how that would go, but sure, you can put healing in your deck and such like, speed up your Rogue deck, maybe play aggro Rogue yourself, backed up with backstabs. Maybe that'll give you some sort of chance.
Yeah, one thing to consider is how much weapon removal you put in the deck, right? Do you put double ooze? Do you go for quadruple ooze? Do you go for the Blessed Corsairs as well? I'm just gonna see how she goes with that. She could also just play Reno Rogue, right? Just play Reno Rogue, get the Reno out.
Yeah.
just do that.
I think it's necessarily the best, but there's so many choices in this format.
Go ahead and give Savitz a call. Give him what's your deck list, Savitz? Teach me.
Teach me the ways of the Reno. Please don't.
I wondered why you were getting salty. I forgot you hate Reno.
Yeah, I know. I have to follow that card again. We haven't seen him yet today, though. He may have been in Xixo's deck earlier, but we never got to see. We didn't see two of any one thing. Of course, Xixo got through the group stages with what looked like a Reno deck. Had no Reno in it.
Maybe
Nobody noticed.
Maybe he made a Reno deck without Reno just to appease you. He's like, don't worry, it's okay. I still got this.
I think that's probably why. And he still won the group. But he didn't notice, the players didn't notice, we didn't notice, because the last thing you check when there's one of everything in a Warlock deck is that there's a Reno in there.
You just assume. You just play Kazakh.
You just look at all the tech cards, just see what your opponents have brought. You wonder how he's jammed 30 different cards in there that all seem so good. It's easy, you just tech out the Reno.
Well, we'll see how she has specifically teched this deck. Obviously, on the side of Zhangbo, he could go for a couple different directions if he feels like Eloise has, teched it in order to kill him off or survive the onslaught. But seems like Pirate Warrior probably the best way to go, especially because it has a really good matchup. And Rogue typically doesn't have the tools unless, like we mentioned a few times here, you really tech against it.
Yeah, and I think that's the plan here. I think that the Warrior is so good as Pirates that you play it a huge percentage of the time and just see if the Rogue can out-tech you.
All right, well, getting into it, we'll see what they put in their deck. And Eloise looks like she's gone for at least the Leroy in there. And on the side of Zhangbo has gone for
Cthulhu? Some sort of control, maybe even Cthulhu.
Well, that looks like Cthulhu here. So it looks like Cthulhu
It's gonna
Warrior.
be good fun.
Huh. And wow, Pirate Rogue here for Eloise. Feels bad not to get that extra damage in with the Sibs Cannon, but we'll see how this goes.
So Eloise set out to fight fire with fire, pretty much how we predicted, although even more aggressive than I expected. And Cthulhu Warrior, what's the advantage of that against Rogue? I guess it's kind of unstoppable if you think she's going to second level you.
Right. Sometimes you can just amass so much armor that it's impossible for the Rogue to beat you. And then if they've gone... That actually makes a lot of sense if you think about it, because it's so risky to play something like Miracle Rogue. You just can't play Miracle Rogue, and that's the one deck that could really just out-tempo you and kill you through all the stuff. And so if there's any sort of, teched out Rogue or, sort of aggressive Rogue to fight fire with fire, then you just kill it with the Cthulhu Warrior. So interesting decision here from Zhangbo. Looks like it's paying off so far.
Yeah, he's in a good spot already here. So Nicely done so far, and Eloise has hit a brick wall here. She's got Murloc things and pirate things, and just
all of the tribes, just all of the tribes in the deck. Yeah,
none of it's really mashing together to do what she needs it to do right now.
not at all. The one thing going for her is Malkorok is a very nice pickup of a Swashbuckler, giving her a bit of juice. But other than that, not looking too great. That said, if Zhangbo has a hard time buffing up his Cthulhu, he hasn't gotten any Cthulhu buffers yet. So he won't be able to
may
get
not
the
even
armor.
need it though. He's got a feeling he may not even need it for some time. I know the 10 armor is obviously massively valuable. 20 if there's a Bran in this deck, of course. But he's just not taking any damage anyway.
I've been trying to think of the name of that card for the last few turns, but I'm just gonna have to need help here.
Which card?
The card that gives you 10 armor.
Cthulhu. I can't remember. I can't remember anymore.
The give 10 armor Cthulhu buff card thingy. Chat, please help.
Yeah, chat help us out there.
Anyway, so
last thing I was expecting to see today, I think, was Cthulhu Warrior. Actually, no, the last thing I was expecting to see was Jade Rogue.
Ancient Shield Bearer. Thank you very much. We've done
Thanks,
it,
guys.
So Eloise getting the wrong order on these things. Gets the ship's cannon after she's played her pirate. Gets her pirate after her ship's cannon dies. And now she's kind of looking at a Leroy, sadly killing off one of these minions on the board. But if you're in favor of things like Death Lords and Dirty Rats living in peace and harmony on the board together, then this is the game for you.
Wow. Death Lords and Rats living together in harmony. What a nice world that would be.
Finja! That's a pretty good card to pick up.
It is, but everything's going to get brawled away in a turn or two's time. But yeah, you've got to start by getting rid of that brawl before you build your second board, so it's definitely a starting point.
Well, if you're forcing your opponent to brawl this, although I guess you don't have really many cards in hand anyway, so it's not like you're going to force brawl at any point. But do you go for the brawl here if you are Zhangbo?
No, I think you trade in the two whelps and you just chill.
Well,
and then you brawl when Finja actually kills something.
Even if he's brawling, he should attack face first with these whelps, right?
Yeah, he's playing really hastily, as we saw in that zoo game, where he just curses his opponent on turn 2.
I think this is an issue with Zhangbo where he's too used to playing aggro decks, and even some of the more straightforward decisions that you make in control decks and combo decks, he is a bit of trouble with. But looks like it's just going to be Acolyte of Pain instead, so that he can go.
Yeah, this makes far more sense.
He can go ahead and brawl the after effects of this, and in the meantime, he gets a couple of draws off the Acolyte.
Yeah, Eloise should be able to read into this what's going on, but there's not much she can do about it apart from maybe hold back a deck hand. But deck hand's worth 4 damage, so maybe she plays one of these, maybe she plays none. But she should be able to read what's happening here.
Well, there are the buffers here for the Ancient Shield Bearer.
Mm-hmm.
As Bluegill and Warleader come into the field, which are probably the only 2 Murlocs left in the deck, other than the last Bluegill. And is it time to go if you're Eloise?
So she needs to work out what punishes her here and really brawl.
The problem is if she doesn't commit to the board, then everything that's not brawl kind of punishes her.
Right, and that's exactly what's going to happen here with that execute being ripped off the top. Suddenly, Zhangbo can clear everything and be in a really good spot.
Yeah. He even has multiple ways to do it. He can Ghoul plus Cthulhu's Chosen and kill off the Finja with his face and leave the Bluegill, but save the execute. He could just execute, kill with his face onto the War Leader, and then use Ghoul or the Cthulhu's, or excuse me, Disciple of Cthulhu. Either way works. But this is the final push here for Eloise with Malkorok. And it has to be a good weapon. Has to be a good weapon. If it's just a 2 durability, 3 attack, it's not going to be enough in my opinion. Has to be something like something pretty good. Has to be something pretty good. That's a 2/4 Prana Launcher. Mixed stuff.
That's actually pretty good because you haven't got to pay the full value for it. So getting yourself some piranhas Gonna be kind of handy.
And you just saw the second Ravaging Ghoul. So all of a sudden, Zhangbo needs to... He's in a position where he needs to not mess this up, right? Before...
Right, I mean, he should still win this easily, but he can now have an accident.
Exactly. Whereas before, it was like, just play whatever's in your hand. Now he actually has to make sure he doesn't make the wrong decision here. Goes ahead and says, okay, the only way I die is if my opponent mysteriously bursts me down. He's already played Leroy. She's already played Leroy, excuse me. As long as I play this Ancient Shield Bearer, get the 10 armor from that, I should be fine. And Eloise, we finally see some emotion for her. She sits back in her chair, gives a little bit of a sigh, and she knows what we know, and that this game is starting to look like it's over.
Yeah, that was the first evidence she'd had of a Cthulhu as well, right? So she thought it was just a control warrior where she may still get some damage through.
Right, true.
Now she knows that, oh, okay, it's Cthulhu, I've just lost. Because Twin Emperor would also be bad for her here.
She is getting some damage in, though. And she has a board.
Indeed.
So, Zhangbo, now it's decision time. Do I brawl, or do I play the Ancient Shield Bearer? Not quite over yet. Seems pretty bad for Eloise, but not quite over yet.
Trying to think what other charge minions she may have. We've already seen Leroy, of course.
Well, the best minion survives here for Eloise.
Yeah, it really does. And Zhangbo probably wants to armor up about now, you would think.
Yeah, I think every armor...
Tempting to cycle that slam, but...
Or the
I
Acolyte,
guess it's
right?
work out what can kill him.
The question is, if he plays the Acolyte, will that heal him for 3? Sometimes, is the answer.
Yes, yeah. Because of the slam in hand next turn.
Right, but if you put the Acolyte on the field, is Eloise going to attack into it with the SI7 agent? So will that be better? Obviously, if you're able to cycle while healing yourself for 3, you'd rather do that than armor up here. So that's what he's thinking about right now. But instead going for the slam, that's just going to end his turn.
Maybe there's a whirlwind he can draw.
Tinkmaster Overspark, not really a huge help right now.
No, but it means he's checking for the right matchup. He's putting the Tinkmaster there to deal with Finger.
Yeah, a little bit too late for that. Double Ooze comes in the field. Eloise actually not too sad to see that, because those are minions that can deal some damage.
And I have no idea why last turn he slammed and didn't either gain 2 armor or put the Acolyte down. Because this turn, if he put the Acolyte down, he could have traded into anything and then slammed it. This turn, now he's having to burn and execute on a 3-1. And he's found a way to give Eloise just the tiniest glimmer of hope here, although she needs to draw incredibly well for the next few turns.
Just plays the Shattered Ships Cannon onto the field here. Gonna throw everything to the face, get his opponent down as low, get our opponent down as low as possible. Gets down to 7. Prawn Launcher's been doing some work.
I was just thinking that's done an extra 4 or 5 damage if I put it in all of my decks from now on.
Oh no! Oh my goodness, that feels bad if you're an Eloise fan.
Do need to point out that if he hadn't slammed, that would not have come off the top this turn, although it would, because he'd have played the Acolyte and got a card that way instead. So the slam was pretty mysterious, I feel.
Now, Corsair is likely not going to be enough. Looking at the board right now, she has 2 damage from the Pirate coming onto the field. 2, 4, 5 damage right now. Probably wants this to hit face. Or excuse me, has 6 damage because of the Naga Corsair. Does not hit the face. And if she goes all face right now, gets her opponent down to 11. Is that better than just getting better trades, is the question.
She needs to send as much possible to face. I mean, the 6-4 and the 6-3 are kind of slow. It's really awkward for her.
Alright, goes ahead and takes care of the Cthulhu's Chosen. Feels kind of bad because depending on the hit, she could have daggered up first and done that and then gotten the extra damage later on.
And if there's any doubt at all, this just ends everything. She's got to get too much damage through now. Very little burn in hand, probably only 2 eviscerates in here.
Yeah, and Eviscerate would not be 4 damage, obviously. And there's a Shadow Set.
Yeah, I mean, she'd have to hold it forever.
And your Shadow Set being a Piranha.
Yeah, Leroy's gone, so Shadow Set, not much use.
Eesh. Ay, ay, ay.
And the longer this goes as well, I mean, it's not going to go much longer because I think Eloise is going to bottom right this in a moment. But the longer it does go, obviously that Cthulhu is just a closer as well.
Yeah, everything in Zhangbo's deck is just more powerful at this point. He can pick up Twin Emperor Veclor, he can pick up Cthulhu, which just finishes the game. He can maybe get something like a shield block, I would imagine, or some other defensive tools. As he knew he was playing against Rogue, right? So he wants to go as defensive as possible in this spot.
Reminder that if Eloise does lose this, as seems very likely, you still get to see her tomorrow in a best of 7 against Lovelychook. So Eloise fans will have that going on. And then the big final is likely to be Xixo versus Zhangbo, unless something crazy happens here.
Well, she's just going to play it out right now. A couple damage to face, a couple more damage to face. Likely not going to be enough, as Zhangbo just can trade out this board and continue to hero power. And there's a shield block. And there is a slam. So yeah, this feels like it's not gonna end well. Even gonna commit the shield slam. Or at least he was reaching for it. Not like it matters all that much.
And Zhangbo's going to need to tidy up his mechanics tomorrow. I think a couple of sloppy plays in this tournament, in this match, I felt today. Getting through there 3-2, but the Warlock game seemed a bit mysterious, and there were 1 or 2 calls in this Warrior game that looked interesting as well.
Yeah, the biggest reason why Zhangbo was able to win was because of his deck choices, right? Like
Yes.
Here, it seemed very strange to go for the Cthulhu Warrior against Rogue. Cthulhu Warrior is decent against Rogue, but it's not a slam dunk. But if you think about the mind games, it's like picking the 4th deck when your opponent is good against the other 3, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, why would you pick the 4th deck? Well, it works out anyway, and there is no worst case scenario where there's a really bad worst case scenario if you go with some of the other decks and your opponent's decks are super teched out. We were expecting more of an aggressive, or excuse me, more of an anti-Pirate Warrior deck here from Eloise, and instead she goes for something that's aggressive, and on the side of Zhangbo, he is just able to take that out with the Cthulhu Warrior, as we have the interviews for both players. Eloise not looking too happy. I think I'm just going to let them talk so you can hear their emotions, and perhaps some people in chat can translate in Chinese for us.
对，那艾丽的话也是回国打比赛，而且场下很多的粉丝来支持你，想要对他们说什么吗？
我其实准备挺久的，但是我觉得我被就是套路了，
因为他的名字叫做好学生臧博。开个玩笑啊。那这边的话，我知道就是其实今天面对张博的话，他的打法其实还是比较快的。你觉得面对他的时候有压力吗？做了哪些准备呢？
我把9职业乘9职业的所有的对局，我全部都准备过卡组，所以其实我觉得我准备还蛮充分的，但是主要是被套路了。
是的，而且我看到是拿到了那个佛祖死于棋这套远古的卡组。那今天张博面对对手的话，有什么想要评价，或者自己今天赢在哪里呢？
他可能猜错了我的卡组吧，我可能用了一些比较平时不擅长的，比如说第一把那个萨满，我本来以为他会是一个奶萨，然后我就上了一个 OTK 萨吧，不过后来是中速萨，然后运气好赢了。本来我觉得应该那个对局不太好打。
是的，确实第一轮的这个 OTK 卡组让人看的是心惊胆战的。然后之后的话，双方都是使用了兵法，自己觉得和艾律的兵法有哪些不同呢？
他的兵法比较年迈吧。然后我感觉他应该也是没有带冰箱，因为怕被人偷走。只是我的感觉，我没有看到刚才。
好，那艾律这边的话，就是下一场，就是明天的这个决赛当中，将会是由你非常熟悉的这个我们的德国选手来对阵到张博。这2位选手，你更加看好谁呢？
我觉得可能张博会赢，因为说实在的，虽然 Xixo 比较强，但是他在这个比赛之前没什么准备，都是我教他应该用什么卡组什么之类的，在就是前2天的时候跟他恶补了一下。
所以你这个是反向奶还是说心里话呢？
我说的是心里话。
好，非常实诚啦！现场的观众给到我们艾丽一点掌声，没有关系。其实，在舞台上，虽然输掉了比赛，但场下包括屏幕前还是有很多观众来支持你的。那这样的话，还是要问一下我们的桑博，那个接下来决赛的话，有什么样的信心吗？包括有什么样的话想要对这个你的对手说的呢？
我觉得我的对手很强吧，就是如果我打他赢了之后，我就是战胜了曾经的世界第一。如果我输了的话，因为对手比我强，我输了也不亏。
先给自己立个 flag 是吗？好，那这样的话，非常感谢两位给我们带来的赛后采访。同时呢，今明两天，包括大后天呢，都会有 NSL 的精彩赛事。那我们的地址呢，就在上海近铁城市广场网易暴雪游戏电竞馆。希望大家能够来到现场，为你喜欢的选手，包括你喜欢的队伍加油。我们希望在明天的同一时间呢，能够看到更多的观众来到现场，为你自己喜欢的选手加油。那这样的话呢，我们接下来要把画面交还给解说席，看来让他们来回顾一下上一场比赛。
All right, looks like they are sending off, which means we are about to as well. Thank you guys for watching today. And tomorrow we'll start at the same exact time, 4 p.m. Chinese time, which is 1 a.m. Pacific time. And what is that in European time?
9 a.m. in GMT, so it's in BST, so it's 10 a.m. Central European Standard Time.
The BS time.
Xixo versus Zhangbo. And Eloise versus Lovelychook will probably be first up, best of 7 for at least another $2,000. And these guys have already racked up a chunk of money. They're going to rack up some more tomorrow.
Absolutely. As we take a look at our match that just happened right now, 3-2 over to Zhangbo. And a bit of a shaky in-game play, but very nice decisions as far as what decks he brought. I think that was the difference between he and Lovelychook today, because Lovelychook has pretty nice in-game play, but a lot of the tech choices that he had simply did not work out for him. And
I'm not even sure they were bad, in fairness to Lovelychook. I think Xixo just called it all perfectly.
Right.
Like, some just have to credit I know I credit Xixo more often than other procasters like to do, but I think today he just literally said, he's going to play for Freeze Mage, he's going to bring Eater of Secrets, I'm just not going to play Secrets, and repeat for every game.
Right, well, here is your bracket. Xixo going off against Zhangbo in the finals. And our third and fourth place match is going to be Lovelychook and Eloise. Prize pool, first place, $8,000. Second is 6th, and 4 and 2 for these players here. They're going to go home with something, but Xixo and Zhangbo just going home with more than everyone else.
And again, on top of that, they've had $1,000 per win throughout the tournament to this point. And I know for a fact, Xixo, I think he went 4, I don't know anything for a fact, I think he went 7 wins, then 4 wins, or something along those lines, picking up a lot of money starting last December.
Absolutely. Actually, last October, I think.
Was it that long ago? Oh, my goodness.
We started a long time ago. Took a while to get this ball rolling. Had a lot of schedule difficulties as well. But looks like they are signing up, so we are signing off as well. Make sure you tune in tomorrow, guys, at 4 p.m. Chinese time. Going to be me and Derek bringing you that finals. Same format as you saw today, except it's going to be a best of 7, so they have to build 7 decks to go off against each other. And learn the last word before we get out of here.
It was more fun than I expected. I thought this might be a bit of a mess of a tournament, but actually watching the mind games, watching what people managed to build in those 15 minutes or so per match, I enjoyed it. It was great.
Tell us how you really feel, Miranda. Anyway, thank you.
I still enjoyed it. It was still great.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.